TicTalk, 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 talk.
A real Celtic talk show by real Celtic fans from the Carluke Shamrock Supporters Club on HailHailMedia.
TicTalk, 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 talk.
Hail, hail, and welcome to TicTalk with the Carluke Shamrock Celtic Supporters Club. My name is Vincent, and this podcast has been recorded on Wednesday the 18th of December. You can find more information about the club at carlukeshamrock.com and details of the podcast and other Celtic family podcasts at HailHailMedia.com. And on the podcast tonight, we'll be looking back at the 5-0 trouncing of Motherwell, the weekend win over Hibernian, and we'll look forward to the Hearts game on Saturday. We'll then round that all up with some hot topics and news and our usual Shambollic shenanigans. Thanks.
Brian can't wait to get the mince pies. It's hot topic. The mince pies.
Mince pies are open.
So, tonight on our panel we have
Brian, right side of the lights.
Peter.
Brian.
Richard.
Kevin.
Okay, Brian, you want to tell the listeners what other rattling is?
The guy's got a full one in his mouth.
Good, that heavy weekend.
I got a mince pie here.
So what have you got?
A deep filled mince pie.
Okay, what else have we
Mr.
got?
Kipling.
What else did your kind host bring you?
Carlton iced Madeira cakes.
Some cheap shite.
And with the preview of games coming up, Brian Connolly brought in some Jambo Dodgers.
See, that's a good thing. You don't get that. You don't get that every week. Brian.
Human enemy.
You don't get it every week. These guys just don't think
Humour's
that
away.
far
Because
ahead.
of the board.
So take it aside, Weight Watchers outside doesn't mean
No on a Wednesday.
We're not supposed to be in the hall.
no, Jim
Oh, we're not in the hall. When did the Weight Watchers sign appear outside the curtain?
Jim's his holidays anyway. He doesn't listen to us
We
anyway.
still get internet in Cyprus.
Does he know he wants to buy one of the internets.
He's in transit, he's in Manchester at the moment.
He's in the back
Alright,
of
so he's
the
on this. So how long have we got then?
Alright, speak quickly.
Tell you what, Peter couldn't wait to get a mince pie and he's got whatever, could he? thought Brian was greedy.
Ask him a question.
Do we know it's Christmas time at all?
I'll tell you, he'll know you two have been here and the amount of crumbs you're making and mess. Shocking.
Okay,
Right.
That's it, only went
we're going to kick off with the
5 months, eh?
Motherwell game, Pierre. And I'm going to give you
Why
the
you, Vincent?
I'm going to give you the double verified team. If you just hang fire for a minute. Foster, Lustig, Ambrose, Van Dijk, Izagiri, Brown, Mulgrew, Ledley, Commons, Stokes and Pookie. Happy with that?
Happy that was
Maybe that was a team.
Yeah.
If you've been listening back, it's a bit unusual for me to get it right.
Indeed.
Who wants to kick off? Who was at the game? Anybody at the match? Caller?
I was there.
Kevin?
Him was there. Well, for the first 15 minutes, then you got arrested with the seat, didn't you? Is that right?
No, I was the main stand with the wings.
In the posh bit.
I enjoyed it. It was good. Played well. Thought they continued where they left off against Hearts. The only difference was they didn't manage to get quite as quick a goal as they did against Hearts, and then when they went 1-up, they were just absolutely bossed the game, start to end. And I was just praying it could have been another 7, to be honest, because Motherwell rank up there alongside Hearts as a team I'm not that fond of.
There we are.
That's hate, isn't it?
I wouldn't say hate.
Unfond.
Hate's a strong word.
Yeah, that's a strong
It's
word.
Christmas.
I hate Motherwell.
Your uncle played with them, did he not?
I hate them.
How your family support them, didn't they?
No.
Just most of them.
Select. Very select.
And they're not actually family now. Oh, sorry.
Oh, nearly tea everywhere there.
Vincent's got another cake.
So it was good. Enjoyed played well. Continued from where they left off against Hearts. And
Well, you say that, but
really
you
enjoyed
mentioned
it.
the other night that you thought a big difference was Motherwell's heads went down, but Hearts kind of just kept going right to the end. You were talking at the food bank about the kind of difference in how the youngsters took the pounding. You thought
Did it?
Hearts kind of get it.
I wasn't even there for that long.
At the end of the food bank when you come in.
Oh, I can't remember that. You're mistaking me. You better
Oh
not
no,
mistake me for McKeever.
No, I'm very observant.
So you thought
I thought it was Johnny Mackay that said that.
He covered it as well.
covered it.
I like you dig your own hole there.
You say that.
Richard, did you watch the game? You weren't at the match,
I
did you
did
watch it?
indeed, and as the
What
man
was your
says, cracking style, cracking play. Lovely passing. Forget the scoreline, just nice football. Nice to see.
You forget the scoreline, it's fine, man.
Hey!
Oh.
Did it. So, during the game, and not talk about events and stuff after it, it was very enjoyable to watch.
It was a good night. We had our usual gathering up at the summer house.
You were at the summer house,
I have got a wee bit of
So summer house.
observation about the Friday night kick-off.
Oh,
There was a couple of folk that were melting. One in particular.
At the summer house.
Rab was absolutely gone. Totally gone.
He just had an early start. That was all.
Well, working the council, so he's probably in the pub saying,
Wait,
So what
what
does Vincent do? Bring his friend down from Lanark, the Royal Borough, and plumps him straight next to her.
That's the buffer.
And Vincent comes over.
Stands at the bar.
I did say a couple of times you go and get that guy here.
it's just the way it worked.
Kevin.
Fair play to Kevin. I have to say, he went about 40 minutes.
aye. He took it. He took it.
To be fair, it's all
Nobody did
Kevins
that.
are mild-mannered and can put up with.
It got to half time and we did say to him, you thought we came here to enjoy ourselves, Kevin. So
This is their purgatory.
that's you now been robbed, so you're now one of us.
You've been robbed. I'm
He's
going
a couple of times.
to take back what I said about Celtic's play and performance and passing. Your move with Kev was the movie of the night. That was the movie of the night.
Slippery.
Oh, it was
Slippery, yeah.
beautiful, man.
It was highlighted.
Oh, definitely.
It was highlighted to him, but he just left the guys.
Sky Sports were showing it on their tactics board.
Jim Shites, he goes like Vincent blocked him.
What were your own thoughts, Brian, in the game?
Played really well, Celtic. The last two away performances the week before and that were fantastic. The way he played, they played football at a tempo we hadn't played virtually for the start of the season in the league.
Yep.
And that was the pleasing thing about it.
So they played a tempo they've very rarely played that in the last 2 seasons. It's
Aye,
actually
you
been
know.
back watching a bit of the Tommy Burns teams where the football was just quick, getting the ball down,
Moving the ball.
fast passing, intricate. And it was just a matter of time, to be honest, before they broke Motherwell down and scored. And going to first part's never the easiest.
No.
Never the easiest place.
We beat twice there last year.
So it was like times last season, like this season, they've not really had that type of football. It's been slower and more methodical, and just keep a hold of the ball. Eventually, something will open up. Whereas it was making things happen, and I like to see when they go out and actually make things happen rather than just sit back and waiting it happen.
So, Brian, why can't they play at that kind of tempo all the time? What's the difference?
I don't know, Vincent. I'm not sure.
You're not here. It's
I'm sure.
It's not Phoebe,
You
Brian.
need biscuits.
Maybe cakes. Why do you think? What do you think there was a difference?
He's the
I'm not
question
allowed to.
master.
No, but I'm looking for. Oh, he's not only got an opinion now. He's saying, every other week you can't get a word in. I don't host it that way. He's saying,
I'm not allowed to when the boss is here.
That reminds me, Vincent, I need to speak to you offline.
I think.
Can you get that earpiece in? No?
I think when a number of players are on their game and they were playing with a bit of confidence, the way they were set up, so they changed the shape of the team slightly, which seemed to suit the players we had playing, and they were up for it. They seemed up for it. I don't know if they had a point to prove after the Milan game.
I think that's
Maybe.
I think that's right.
Because they got a bit of a doing in the media.
Yep.
And I don't read any of the papers, but I did hear a little bit on the radio, and they were. I think the Scottish press seemed to forget that where Celtic are in the scheme of things in terms of budget, who they were playing against, and so they've had a bit of a doing over not only the Milan game but the Barcelona game. But
Yeah, not seeded fourth in the group for no reason. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
But I think, given how much we overachieved last season, then I guess if you're comparing it with that, then everybody's disappointed. I mean, there's no two ways about it that the European campaign wasn't great.
I just think the European disaster was a disastrous campaign after AC Milan away. I don't know what happened. We just seemed to.
and see, after that game, I was really positive about our
We started well.
chance of getting, albeit we got beat 2-0. We played really well. We looked as if we had quite a few chances, better team for much of the game. I thought maybe we've got a wee chance of doing something.
I disagree with you, Peter. I thought I wouldn't say it was as early as the Milan game, because with Barcelona until Bruni gets sent off, then we were competing.
I was going to say the first half
not
of
even first two,
Barcelona.
Brian. First three, we then beat Ajax at home. Where it went tits up was Bruni get suspended for additional games. He didn't. In Amsterdam, it was just a trip and a match to forget, and then it was made worse by Milan, where we just didn't turn up in the home game, and then we got an absolute doing in Barcelona. So I wouldn't. I know what you mean. It was really positive after the Milan game, but I still felt fairly positive even until we went to Ajax, and that was just a bit.
I just felt that what could conspire against us now. These 6 games conspired against us, if you know what I mean. We seem to run out of luck. We had all the luck probably before. And everything that could happen did happen.
I think the pivotal point for me, that you've already mentioned it, the Bruni getting sent off. Not only did we end up losing that match, but I think what was a bigger punishment for us was losing them in the games afterwards. Yeah. We really struggled.
At that point,
missed him away, and we missed his energy in midfield in 3 games that he was out.
He was really playing well at that time.
Aye.
He was really playing well.
I think Neil Lennon made a few mistakes over the campaign.
Absolutely. Aye, absolutely.
You know, I think he's got to put his hands up, especially in Barcelona. What I was thinking there.
Aye.
And we can't forget that he's still learning. He's still a young man. He's still learning.
I thought his biggest mistakes were at the Milan game at Celtic Park. The team he put out that night. The team he put out that night was just all wrong. I mean, we spoke about it on one of the podcasts, and possibly the last one or the one before. Richter had done nothing to merit being in the team for the start. Forrest hadn't played a number of games because of his injury, so he was kind of been thrown in at the deep end. And I just don't think against a team like Milan, and don't get me wrong, as we spoke about, they're not the Milan team of old, but they're still a top quality team with some phenomenal players in it. So I think that if I'd won the Barcelona game, I'm less critical of the manager and more critical of the players. The players, as far as I'm concerned, chucked it. Mm-hmm. And there's no forgiving that in lots of ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a dead rubber.
Yeah.
But you don't chuck it. And I'm prepared to. I don't think the manager's as culpable there as he was in the home game against Milan. I
can't remember who I read. I think it was Fraser Foster. I can't remember, but somebody actually said, one of the players actually said they chucked it.
I think it was Commons.
What did they?
Was it Commons?
I think it was Commons, aye.
It says the players had chucked it.
Right.
Anyway, we're going to come on to Barcelona. Can we just tie up the Millwall game first of all then? Just in terms of the goals, some really good goals in there. And the final one, Atajic, quite impressed with Atajic.
Yes.
Great finish.
Great finish.
Aye, definitely.
Very composed there.
You feel sorry for Pookie a wee bit.
I was going to say, what were the goals that never happened?
Yeah.
Pookie.
We were talking about that, weren't we, that night? Says that Pookie, he must be tearing his hair out. He's...
Talk about things that don't go for you.
And that's
The
the
best
one
he's
comes on and he
played.
scores.
He played well though.
Still
He
think
played well. Yeah.
Well, we spoke about it on Saturday, that the one that came across in the first half, and he was the ball was coming for his head, but he stood waiting on it. He didn't make any effort to attack the ball, move towards the ball and attack it. And the one he missed in the second half was the same. The ball came across, and he just waited on it. It seemed like an eternity for the ball to come to him. The Motherwell player just got in. Go and attack the ball. Seize your chance.
But he's not.
And he doesn't strike me as the type of player.
He's no that. He's no hooper. He's no sniffing out. That's not what he does. That's not what he does.
But that's what he's
well,
like.
do you know what? I don't even think he's as good as
He reminds me of Brad Back.
back.
I like his touching. I think
he's
when
got
the ball
better touching, but
he does. Aye.
It's a great movement. He seems to get it.
See, I keep hearing this off people, and I don't
think he
see
does.
it. I just don't see it.
I think it's a great movement.
The boy should have got a penalty.
He should have got
Okay,
a penalty.
right,
Stone
no,
ball.
right.
Oh, and he got booked for diving. Was that wee Wally Gollum?
That's
rat.
That's when he must
It wasn't.
Millwall game.
No, wasn't it? Wasn't it
That
actually?
was Steve McLean.
Steve
Aye,
Martin.
So it was. That was an absolutely shocking decision.
Right.
Did Celtic appeal that?
You can't
appeal the booking,
I don't know, has there been any apology from the referee? Or
No, you'll not get an apology.
hold up his hands?
Steady.
You'll not get that.
He's lucky he didn't have to get carted off with a serious ankle injury. I mean, it was
No, it was
literally
his foot.
right on his.
No, it was his foot.
But his ligaments.
It did look sore,
Kind of
but
bent right over.
sore.
Right all the top of his foot. It's like a metatarsal.
I thought the other one was a penalty as well. See the handball? I thought that was a penalty.
Oh, yes.
First 10 minutes.
Aye.
But you see, there was a lot of comments about that. Who was it? Somebody on the radio, or was it Hartson, just saying, why don't you just make it, if there's a handball, it's a penalty, then there's no debate about, you know, it was in an unnatural position and all of that carry on. Because I must admit, I find that all quite difficult. So it's pretty much down to the referee.
It is down to the referee, and the referee will award it if he chooses.
If it's a Celtic.
Do you know what? See, when I had completed the referee's course, what you were always.
Oh, it is! Can't believe you brought that up again.
What you were always told was.
Don't be Celtic.
What was his hand doing there?
If they've got green ones,
What's his hand doing there?
It's attached to his arm.
No, if your hands, why is it not moved out the way of the ball?
But if your hands
up
about and
at shoulder height, which it was in that instant, what's it doing there?
I thought you were talking about Vincent's love life here.
I was actually just going to say how Vincent's cutting a couple of shapes here, you know what I'm talking about? I thought he was on the dance floor again.
Give me a few yellow cards for your move.
Red cards and sin died. On two occasions.
Is that how Richard, is that how to move to Lanark?
Allegedly, Brian. Allegedly.
banished to the Royal Borough. We're going to come on to the aftermath of that game and things that have happened since. But in terms of atmosphere, it looked like a great atmosphere.
Oh, best atmosphere of the season. It was. I said it was absolute. Friday night football was absolutely fantastic to see. So to see.
And you mean there's a credit to both ones?
Aye.
Because
it was just fantastic, and the fallout that has occurred since seems to suggest that there's never been another Friday night game involving Celtic, which is a real shame. The atmosphere was brilliant. I did have my fears as soon as the flare was lit, and I just said to Kieran and Joseph or Amy, I said that I wish they would just do away with that. It's just mad. At that point, I just knew. I knew it was going to be a great atmosphere, but I just knew there was something in the air. I was in the main stand at David Cooper's side.
The flare.
I've got an interesting perspective in that as well.
You left your chair intact and all that.
Bucket seats.
Well, you need to be doing well to break one of them.
I know, baby, get a go.
You tried.
So.
It certainly looked good, or sounded good, sorry.
The mother ultras had their taps off, they were goading each other. It came across really well.
And the karaoke went well in Marshall's as well.
Karaoke in Marshall Summerhouse.
Oh, I managed to
Good God.
make a wee exit prior.
Certain things in life, I was on call, I was out the road.
We had a bit of an early exit as well, so we missed the karaoke. So that went on till when, Peter?
We're on to 1:30.
Oh, that's not bad.
+1.
That's early.
Peter.
Wish I'd known that when I came back up the road.
It was actually 2 o'clock before I got in.
Kevin, it was karaoke, there was no chance of him telling you.
That's a fair point.
Was it rebel-oke or just karaoke?
It was karaoke.
You're too good to be true.
I'm glad I didn't turn up. That's as good as it got.
But so the elements, before we move off of the Motherwell game, then the elements of the crowd, we can talk about that, and I want to leave the aftermath, if you like, till further on. But what was your thoughts just on the behaviour of the crowd in the aftermath of that?
The aftermath.
Well, we obviously were sitting in the summer house watching it. We're seeing it on the screens, the guys are talking about the game and everything, and nothing came over at that time. There was nothing at all, and then later on,
well, it was with the flare, which was
no, sorry, I think you're referring to just the seats. You want to cover the flare as well.
See, the flare, did that go? Was it Foster?
Yes.
Foster was
actually a photo with him.
No, it wasn't a flare. It was
I was just going to
smoke bomb.
So it wasn't. There was a flare.
Sorry, the smoke bomb.
Which burned 1600 degrees and why anyone thinks it's sensible to take that into a football pitch. It was up and it was down, it was up and it was down half a dozen times. People dropping it. All it needs is for it to be dropped in somebody's hood, and their jacket goes up or they go up. I was, and we were in the main stand, which required, and we park at the Muirhouse Flats, which requires us to kind of walk up against the flow of Celtic fans coming out. And I was walking up a path, and there was this guy holding his left arm, and it looked to me, I thought this guy's had one of these smoke bombs explode in his hand. It looked as if his hand was dark, and it just looked strange from about 10 yards away. And the closer I got, I realised he was holding his hand, his elbow. He had this blue glove on. The only way I can describe it, see the things that you put on your hands to fill your car with petrol? One of them.
Right.
And I reckon it was burn injuries. And they spoke about somebody that had been treated at the game. It was a glove. He was holding his hand. He was obviously patently injured. And that's what they do with burn victims. They put powder or cream on it, and then they cover it with this kind of plastic glove. And the guy was holding it. And I fucking felt it. Excuse me. I felt it saying, "HailHailMedia, if you are stupid enough to be standing holding a flare and taking a flare to a football match," and I felt heart sorry for him at the same time as wanting to rip strips off him.
Aye.
There's no need for it, and that's an example of where it's something that is regarded as excitement and bringing something positive. That guy.
How old was he about? Approximately, was he a young guy?
22, 23, it looked to me. And you just shake it. I mean, the guy could be permanently, seriously scarred.
But there just does seem to be, there is that element, the ultras, I don't know, or whatever.
Let's get back to the 80s.
But who do think that that's perfectly acceptable. In fact, it should be encouraged, and it's a good thing to do at the football. Whereas every right-minded fan that I know patently disagrees with that.
See, you get back to the 80s, they had it all the time. You're going into Grun's smoke bombs. Wasn't it, Peter? Easter Road used to be terrible.
See, I can't remember any of that, to be honest.
Oh, Kevin, that was terrible. See the casual element at that time.
I can remember when they'd CS gas and stuff like that. The casuals were chucking that about and stuff.
Yeah, they were throwing everything. But
that was more to cause fights and get a competitive fighting advantage rather than.
I mean, you can back. I can remember. See the bridge as you go to Easter Road. You used to walk.
Aye.
You used to go across that bridge. That was an absolute nightmare trying to cross that bridge.
I should try to get out of it 4 weeks ago when we were there, and it was pitch black.
They were standing at one end.
Aye,
you were standing at the other end.
And they were throwing
them over the bridge. And
I don't think it is back to that. I think that's entirely
but what I'm saying is,
altogether.
But that's what it feels like it's going back to. You know, that's what I'm saying to you, Brian.
I don't think it is.
I don't.
What I'm saying is, but
I would
just
say
thought
the media's trying to tell
see
you
what
that.
Kevin's saying about
say
what do you call it, in the Grun? Because that's what happened then, were folk taking flares and everything back into the Grun at that time.
See,
if they start that carry on, that's you getting back to that. That's what I'm trying to allude to there.
I thought in those days it was like chucking a CS gas canister across into the opposite fans, so that they would tears would be streaming down their eyes. They would need to clear the area and all that kind of stuff. These are taken for the entertainment of our fans and the excitement of our fans, not to chuck into the opposite fans and stuff like that, which I think is the difference.
They're trying to get this. Sorry, Kevin. They're trying to get that European almost element of it. You see it on the telly. You see the Turkish fans. You see some of the German fans.
I was going to say that because I was going to say two things. You were pedantic a wee bit earlier, quite rightly saying it wasn't a flare; it was a smoke canister. Should they be allowed? Are they the same? Are they just as bad? I don't know what opinion you're there.
So in my opinion, they're not as bad, and I have less of a problem with them. But they're still not right, because there are people who suffer different types of illnesses that it will cause them problems. I just feel really annoyed with the flake, because they things are lethal. I take the view to me a smoke bomb's less lethal to me, but it might be more lethal to someone who's got respiratory problems.
Sorry, your second point was?
Well, the second point is you're watching these games and you're seeing the media going doolally over any canister, flare, whatever, and then you go back on reading blogs or checking Twitter pages and you'll see I'm linked up to loads of guys throughout Europe, and loads of them have pictures of full ends of the stadiums through Turkey, through in Italy as well. These massive, colourful feasts, as they refer to them, and there must be about 20 or 30 of these things going off. It's like something like it's like Apocalypse Now, you know, compared to. And I think sometimes we get a wee bit carried away, thinking, there's jail limo and stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of torn between the two. It looks fantastic. I agree with you with the flare thing, absolutely. That's an obvious
thing. That's a bit of whataboutery though, isn't it? It's it happens there, it goes on there,
no,
it's all right there.
That, no,
we can only control what we do as a group of supporters.
Correct.
To me, and I know as it's come out, it wasn't the Green Brigade as such. It had these things out of the game. It wasn't members of the Green Brigade. They've accepted some culpability in terms of its hangers-on. But I think if they had come out stronger against the use of pyros, which they've never really done and didn't even do in their recent statement, then it would have went a long way to help. But they're not of a mind to do that.
Oh, these things are part of that ultra culture. That's the thing, and that's what I'm trying to stand back from it and work out what I think about it all, because I see all these different situations.
So you've got that. There's no excuse whatsoever in any way, shape, or form for the disgusting state that the stadium was left in.
Yes, agreed.
Where not only were seats broken, they were the metal fixings were demolished,
brandished. Which
it was. We were disgusted at Ajax fans.
Yes,
throwing chairs. One picture I seen was a Celtic fan holding the back of a chair above his head. How can we have the moral high ground in our disgust at what we regard as fascist people and the Ajax support who behaved like animals? Yet, not 3 or 4 weeks later, we've got an element of our support that were no better than that.
I would add certainly Ajax casuals were chucking those seats at fans.
Does that make
all right then, Richard?
No, it doesn't make it all right.
No, what I'm saying is you can't just jump straight into black and white stuff. You can't start labelling things
Where
the
did
same.
these guys chuck these seats?
And you can't say this boy crossed the road badly. Oh, and by the way, that guy's Adolf Hitler. You've got to view it properly and sit back. Now, that's a thug, a hooligan, and a vandal picking up a seat and throwing it down. But there's no way I'm going to compare him to an Ajax Yahoo that's thrown it at an 11-year-old lassie. At the same time, you go back, the guy in the crowd that ripped up that seat, he should be grabbed out straight away and taken to the cells.
Aye.
Why was it allowed to continue? Why was it allowed to go on? The reaction that came after it was completely ludicrous as well.
No, but sorry to interrupt, but what was really interesting, well, 2 things. One was, how do we police it ourselves, if possible? And there was talk about the people who ended up in that area didn't have tickets for that area.
That's right.
And pretty much told the people that were in that area to bugger off. So they then took over that area.
Correct.
So very difficult to tie up what tickets or what, and it's an away match and it's more difficult to kind of trace. So I found that difficult. But the second bit, what I picked up through Twitter, etc., was the policing seemed to be very, very different at this match.
And the stewarding.
And it seemed to be almost a kind of a hands-off, kind of carry on, do what you want type thing, and I don't understand that.
Well,
given where we've been.
Which again,
recently.
you're not saying, oh, by the way, that allows you to come in and rip up that seat.
No.
But you're pointing out, why is that happening?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get into the detail.
So I was at the game,
you know?
and that wasn't the case, certainly getting in. When we were arriving, there was mounted police escorting a group of Celtic fans in. I presumed that there was a group who'd either... It looked a big enough group that they could have come off a train and be marched all the way through Motherwell. I seen at one point a mounted horse almost losing control in the same way as the person that got trampled on outside the Europub in Amsterdam. And the police seemed very eager to make sure that they were not taking any nonsense. And that for me set the kind of tone of what the evening was like. So I didn't get that impression from being there. And the guy who was sitting in front of us had a couple of wains with him, and there was 3 kids and 3 adults. And I heard him saying to his mates, "Oh, I was speaking to me blah 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 this morning on at lunchtime at work," and he said that they were going to go for it tonight. Talking about the
fans were going to go for it.
The fans were going. So I presumed it was someone who would be either within that kind of ultra group directly associated with the Green Brigade, or part of the extended group who would get together with them. and he said that he'd heard from this guy that they were going to go for it tonight.
And they certainly went for it.
Well, it being a Friday
Just
night
to
and
go
people
back-
getting together straight from work and a few beers.
Just to go back to Richard's point about when you were comparing the fans and what we've done, and then you went on to say about the police. Now, we can't complain about the police being heavy-handed, and then we can't complain about the police not policing at the same time.
I can.
If the police are heavy-handed, then surely if they've left them alone that night, it shows why they're heavy-handed.
No,
No?
I think the word that sticks out there is police. You just said the police heavy-handed, the police not policing. That is exactly what they're there to do. Police.
I
If someone
understand that,
commits
but you're
a-
saying they didn't on that night,
What?
and look at what happened.
What Vincent started
So the guys
with-
can't behave themselves.
Right. What Vincent started with saying was how all the seats were mixed up, how all the attendance was mixed up, and that is exactly the reports that I heard. All of the stuff outside that Kev spoke about, getting corralled and moved in groups, I heard that. And as soon as they got to the turnstiles, everything was switched off, or the systems were switched off, and guys were not getting their seats, were moved up the top and moved in the bottom. And that's why all
That's
these
some of the
people were
stuff,
mixed
right.
up.
And that's fine, but that is not an excuse
Which I said,
for anyone
Correct.
to break a seat.
Correct.
So don't use it as almost a justification,
No.
because that's what it sounds as
No.
if you're
well, if that's the case, then I've miscommunicated that. What I'm trying to do is get
I
down
don't
to
think
the
that's what you
detail
said,
instead of sitting back like a Scottish journalist and just saying bang black or bang white. I'm trying to say, right, there's a hooligan there, get him out. No, there's a hooligan there. He comes maybe for that section there. I'm going to close an entire section. Or there's a hooligan there. I'm going to plaster
that's
it.
what we're
But
not talking about.
We haven't moved on to that, Richard.
that's what I'm. That's
We
what I'm.
haven't moved on. You're
No,
now,
no,
you're now
no.
extrapolating the Motherwell thing
Right.
to
How
the suspension of
Celtic have
fans.
reacted,
And that's,
which is
and that's
entirely
not what
wrong,
we're
I
talking
would
about.
agree.
We're talking about the behaviour of the people who rightly or wrongly,
Yep.
with not tickets for that particular area,
Yep.
moved in there,
Yep.
scattered people who had valid tickets,
Yep.
and then proceeded to wreck a significant number of seats, causing in the region of £10,000 damage. I don't know what.
Sorry,
whether
can I
that
come
figure's
back in?
right
Can I
or
just
not.
come back in? Because I started that kind of point. I don't think either Richard or I have tried to say, well, here's a reason why this is acceptable. I'm not going to put words in your
Never
mouth,
going to be
Richard.
that word. No,
No,
you're perfect.
What I'm actually trying to say to you was that the
Not to say that
circumstances.
either, but
Sorry, let me
it's
finish.
not justifiable
Aye.
either because
Let
of
me
what
finish.
anyone else did.
Well, if you let me finish, I'll kind of explain that to you. What I think we've both said is, here's a couple of reasons why this might be okay. What I'm actually saying to you is, the circumstances surrounding this match seem to be different in
Correct.
some areas.
Correct.
And the same in others. So, Brian's point about if we're going to complain about heavy-handedness, we can't just pick and choose when we complain about it. I'm saying what Richard's saying. Let me finish. I'm not saying that we want heavy-handedness. I'm saying we want them to police properly. And they didn't seem, when they're heavy-handed, they're no policing properly. When they're no heavy-handed, they're still no policing properly. And it seemed to me at Motherwell, they weren't policing properly because when they get into the match, it was every man for themselves, sit what you want. There's a couple of wee stewards here, and a couple of the comments I saw were, and it might have been on a podcast, it was a wee lassie that said, oh, I don't know, sit what you want.
Aye.
And that was it, it all broken down.
So I want the
Can't
police.
read
I
the
want.
ticket.
I want the police to police properly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't mind if people move to a different area to congregate and create an atmosphere.
Yep.
What I feel is absolutely unacceptable, and nothing excuses it whatsoever, is wanton vandalism
Agreed.
and destruction, which has done nothing but bad. Give everyone who is anti-Celtic an opportunity to actually hammer us.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's
exactly. I think we're all agreed on that.
in the wider community, or the wider repercussions are, we've now got what was something that we all held in positive regard in terms of what section 111 at Celtic Park. We now don't have that, and in my opinion, we've got civil war breaking out amongst different fan factions, and the club is actually on a dangerous spiral downwards.
Yes.
Can I ask you?
But it doesn't excuse hooligan, thuggish,
Which no one has
neddish,
said.
antisocial behaviour.
Which
Correct.
no one has said.
Can I ask you to hold that thought, please? Brian, can you finish this section off, because we're going to come back to this, because it's actually... the repercussions then moved forward. Did you have something to say? Sorry, I kind of cut you off because I was on a roll. You want to finish this?
I just don't think it's what Kevin said. You can't justify it through anything that the police did or didn't do. I would entirely concur though that in terms of what Richard then said to make his point clearer, that we want the police to police properly.
Yes.
And I would 100% agree with that. I don't think we can blame them for what happened.
Correct.
For anything they did or didn't do that night.
An observation.
And furthermore, what's happened on Friday night has set the fans against criminalisation
back.
Oh,
just
unbelievably, because the police have not been policing properly.
Yes.
And this has given them an opportunity to say this is why we do these things with these people.
Yes.
And it's honestly, God, I feel sick to the pit of my stomach about this whole thing.
Thought. We're going to come back to that, okay?
TicTalk, 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 talk, talk, talk.
Okay, welcome back. We've all had a 10-minute break and went a wee walk and calmed down a bit. We're going to come back onto that very subject, okay? But I would like to just take us on briefly, I think, to save us all the heartache, but take us on to the Barcelona match.
To save this heartache, you're taking us on to the Barcelona match. And you're
I want to briefly talk about it. I don't want to.
Don't want it to be a short conversation.
Cover over it. All right. I'll start as usual. I'll give you the double verified team of Foster.
How's it double verified?
I check it twice.
He phoned Google.
I check it twice.
You're only one person.
No, he phoned
but
Google.
I know you have a bit bipolar.
He's bipolar.
No, he's equivalent to.
I check it and he checks it. He just looked at himself in the mirror.
He's the size of two people. But
Oh.
only half alive.
I'll take that for a number of people in this panel.
Listen, I apologise about criticism of mental ill people.
Right, can I give you the double verified team first before we move on?
Gay Santa.
Richard, this is what that's for you, no?
You just spat your cake out.
Laughing at his own joke.
That's what I'm saying. Laughing at his own joke, he's just spat half his cake out at me.
This is carnage. Absolute carnage.
I'm just going to start wrecking these chairs now. Don't get a grip of yourselves.
Right, the team. Foster, Lustig, Ambrose, Van Dijk, Matthews, Brown, Beaton, Ledley, Borichter, Samaras.
Sorry, can you read that again?
So, quite a surprise.
Can you read that again?
Why?
Just go.
I just read it.
You can listen back to it.
Foster, Pish. Lustig, Pish. Ambrose, alright. Van Dijk, alright. Matthews,
Ambrose,
shocking.
alright.
Brown, Pish. Beaton, Pish. Ledley, Pish. Borichter, Pish.
Okay, we'll move on.
Next game.
Don't mention Sam.
Thanks for that.
Samara. Did you read the tweet from his agent?
During the game.
During the game?
Oh.
I'm watching.
I checked his timeline.
I'm watching somebody I care about very much, and I'm embarrassed with what I'm watching.
Oof. Get in, son. I like that.
What was your thoughts on, first of all, the line-up and the tactics?
I'm probably not the best person to ask.
Well, I'm asking you anyway.
I had a meeting
He doesn't like
on that
line-ups.
night, and I didn't. I tried to watch a wee bit on my phone, and I kind of kept glancing at it. And when it got to 3-0, I just switched it off.
So the first goal went in, you just knew they were going to get cuffed.
Yes.
Aye. And did MD? Well, sorry, I'll speak for myself. I was up working from home.
I wasn't coming to you
ended
yet,
up just sitting. Got to 47 minutes, went downstairs. Had no excitement, no great interest in the game. Just went downstairs because I'd missed the first 3 minutes. I walked in with Matthews, getting a hold of the ball, and I don't know if he was lacking confidence. He gave it straight away to win it, and that was when I walked. That's when I walked in, and I just thought. I looked at that and thought, nah, lost a goal 3 or 4 minutes later, and I just knew we were going to get an absolute hiding. I've never been as unemotional, but a Celtic match, I don't think in my entire life.
We'll start with the manager then. Why Adam Matthew?
No, it's excuse me.
Peter, say
El
that.
Presidente is about to speak.
Say that again.
Sorry.
Peter, will I change the name of it?
There you go.
No, I was just asking if I change the name of the podcast to Kev Talk.
Right, Kev, shut up for 10 minutes. Right, Peter.
I don't know if I can guarantee that.
See? You know you can. Peter, what was your thoughts?
My thoughts were
Start with the manager.
obviously we were well beaten.
Thanks for that insight.
Moving on. What did you think? I'll help you out here, Vincent.
They were well beaten.
Words of wisdom.
Brothers Grimm.
Words of wisdom.
We'll run the game for about 2 minutes.
Right, Peter, you've got the floor.
Your question to the manager.
I couldn't believe his team selection.
I agree.
I think everybody at this table agrees with that. He seems to. I don't know what he was thinking.
Aye.
I mean, we must have another left back in the club. Must have.
Can I get, sorry, I'm going to let you go here, but I think the idea with Matthews was it was very last minute for Izagiri being injured. And I think
suspended.
Oh, sorry. But somebody else was supposed to be, and I'm sure Lennon said it after the match.
Mulgrew, maybe.
Aye, it was a very last minute.
Mulgrew in the bench. So if Mulgrew was the fit, was in the bench.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm just glad Vinny has continued his meticulous planning and preparation.
That was an
research for this podcast.
Listen, that was an exclusive there about Izagiri. Okay,
And I heard Kevin saying that Ambrose got pass marks. I don't know what game you're watching, Kevin, but
don't ask him because then he'll start playing. Go.
If he's Nigeria's,
I'll tell you when you're
defence
ready back in.
that World Cup, I think they're in a shout. Because Neymar just ran by him at ease.
He was on fire.
The £50 million, one of the highest signed players in world football, was going by a Celtic defender that cost
$1 million.
Not even $1 million.
No, even a million.
Peter's talking. Peter, carry on.
I wish you'd talk sense.
Listen, away, he's away. A piece of the other to you. You just had to say he was playing brilliant.
See if you realign your expectations, you'll be disappointed.
Rewind that. I didn't say brilliant.
How many podcasts have you been on, right? Peter's been on, and you still sit here and say, I wish you'd talk sense. Ridiculous concept. He's never going to talk sense.
This is getting far too personal.
So Peter, what else?
Was there any good point?
Do you think that just tactics naive?
Yes, Samras's goal.
Yeah.
I've not even seen it yet.
Did you have the fear? Did you think 6 plus?
Thought 10.
Well, it could have been 10. I'll be perfectly honest, it could have been 10.
Easily.
Aye. Could have been.
I was having.
Brian, what was your thoughts?
Well being.
A great insight.
Just, you knew for the start of the game, after the first couple of minutes, I think Matthews tried to pass a ball across the park or something, straight in the game, and there was about 4 of them straight through in your lap. Oh, here we go. Just in there, I thought the way we were set up, you can't go to Barcelona and play with guys who don't want to chase back. We went last year when we played as a team. We didn't play as a team this time.
Yep.
That was the big thing. We didn't play as a team. And then we deserved in the game.
Do you think
we never put enough effort in? I can say that now. And very, very, what do you call it? You would never really hear that. People would say that about a Celtic team. They never put enough effort into the game.
Yep.
Do you think there is anything in it? Actually, a friend had said to me on the phone this, and then someone told me that John. He's no for looks, he doesn't really know me. I call him a friend.
It's a pen pal.
Once he gets to know me, he'll know me what to call him a friend. I can call him a friend to do.
He's phoned you once. My best though.
That's why the internet should be banned, I'm telling you.
Especially the datelines.
Right, Brian, you were.
So she said, he said to me, do you think Lenny picked that team to prove a point?
I've heard this.
I've heard that.
I personally don't think, but I did think about it, and you're then thinking, well, he's maybe shown them it's a nothing game, it doesn't mean anything. I don't think for 1 minute he would assume we would get beat by that kind of margin, but he's got 3 players or whatever in that team that he was forced to buy, or there's rumours that they weren't necessarily his. C-sharp.
Oh, Jesus!
Come on, kid.
Not only does he talk shite.
Oh, God. Is that a mince pie?
Conley.
So,
I cannot believe
There was 3 or 4 players in the team that maybe they weren't his first picks to sign.
I mean, personally, I don't think he did do that, but what I did think, it looked like he was almost experimenting and it went badly wrong. Richard, what was your thoughts?
It was behind the couch stuff.
Aye.
It was just terrifying, honestly. And
You can't get behind your couch.
Aye,
It's
I
against the wall.
I moved it. I pushed
Put
it.
it out for the wall.
It's got a laminate floor and I pushed it out. Still getting
Poor Evie, crushed by a moving couch.
And the biggest thing was what Brian said. It was that whole loss at heart, chucking it, you know.
Aye.
Going to the new camp and getting beat, you know, 1, 2, 3-0. Aye, fine, you know. Trying your heart out, hitting a crossbar, doing something. Aye, fine, no problem. But going out and getting gubbed like that and humiliated, no, that was just painful.
was very
Absolutely
painful.
painful to take.
I was dreading them scoring another one.
Kevin, if we continue to make sure you don't speak, does that mean that it comes out in other ways?
That's a punishment.
Right, we'll let you speak.
I thought you were against smoke bombs.
Is this was the match you were at, was it?
So no,
That you were thinking about taking?
a couple of weeks ago at half time, I was exhilarated when Celtic were playing Hearts and the full Celtic end was singing "We want 10, we want 10," and the Jambos were spewing their load. With 28 minutes to go of that game, and I feared it was going to be double figures.
Please, just 10.
And it was tough watch. Just wanted the game to finish. Although the ironic thing was, Sammy could have scored a second, and Collins was unlucky with a shot. It could have ended up 6-3, but we were absolutely annihilated, and we chucked it, and that's sickening to see a Celtic team chuck it.
I think that was a sore.
and
By
be
the
on
way,
the end
I
of
don't
it.
think that was as good as Barcelona team as we played the year before. It's out of shadow.
We had completely different tactics. I think that's where I thought he was almost experimenting.
Too old.
You know,
Too
he was almost experimenting and thinking, let's try something. And actual fact, and I think he was badly let down with people like Boraktar and Samaras had a really poor game as well. But I mean, Boraktar, he seemed to go with the wrong type of players. I feel like.
See what Peter was saying about the Barcelona team. I think they play differently now. They actually use the width. See, last season the 2 games against them were very, very narrow. Their fullbacks just tucked in, and they really struggled to break us down
Because they were really locked.
but they use the width now, and that's what the big pitch really struggled.
Do you not actually kind of feel that every time we've played them at the new camp, you've always in the back of your mind had that worry that you were going to get an absolute tanking?
I thought I ran out.
So in
It came down to the best of
5 or
teams,
6 games there, I mean, there's been times in the last couple of seasons where even Madrid went there and get beat 5-0. A team that's full of players that cost 20, 30, 40, 50 million quid. So I'm just disappointed that they chucked it, to be honest. And the team was the wrong team.
But just talking about the tactics, what I do remember, and quite a few folks said it at the time when we played them last season. I can remember Commons. We were screaming at Commons to get out to the wing because one of the players was wide, and we were screaming and screaming, get out there, cover that guy. But the tactics were to keep it, because they're so reluctant to cross the ball. It was to keep it really tight. And it seemed to me that he just thought, actually, I'm going to try something else, and it just went badly wrong. And Kev's, is it again?
I can't see you.
And by the way, isn't it a smoke bomb?
So, Kev, any last thoughts before you leave us?
They were just wee air pockets, weren't they? Actually,
Right, okay.
We've done a shite before we started as well. Come on.
This is definitely explicit podcast.
Conversation.
Okay, we'll not dwell too much more on Barcelona. I never managed to get to the Hibs game.
Oh, you lucky
but I'll give you the double verified team. Foster, Lustig, Ambrose, Van Dijk, Izagirre, Brown, Bitton, Ledley, Commons, Stokes, Pukki. So, Peter, was that a tough one, was it?
It was a tough game. You didn't appreciate how bad the conditions were to be actually outside the ground after the match, I didn't think.
And a match called off a few miles away.
Got the wind and, but that was making no excuse. I mean, there was no atmosphere on the ground at all, to be honest. Half the Celtic support gave up. to be perfectly honest.
What was the crowd size like?
So have you seen the official attendance?
46,000. No, but I've got
24,360.
no, I got it 28,000 from a guy.
So there was some on Twitter. And anyway,
28,000.
the club gave it as 48.
Because they base it on tickets sold.
Right, okay.
So, season tickets.
Right, gotcha.
I was going to say 20. I thought 20. I didn't think it was as much as 28, to be honest.
So, very poor.
Aye, it was a
Poor
very
crowd.
poor attendance.
Last shopping Sunday after all the crap that's been Saturday after all the crap that's been on the past couple of weeks.
You might find this Saturday's the last shopping Saturday and it might be worse again.
Oh, we're home this week.
It's a 12:15 kick-off as well. We'll move on to that game.
So, that is last week, wasn't it? The last Saturday?
So no Christmas today.
And it wasn't a Sunday.
Verify that one.
Double verified.
It's a double verifying that one.
Get
And
the
it's a
Shambollic
Gary
calendar.
still no suspended.
It was.
It was in the last minute. I've got the exclusive, I'll bring it.
He played well.
It was against.
Again.
So you think you had Thomas here, didn't you?
No, I didn't have
No, you
Thomas.
didn't. No,
He was outside.
So Wayne was left in the bus.
I'll tell you, he's probably quite happy. He'd be like, if I didn't have Declan there, I'd have been away at the bowling club.
I wouldn't have took him. I don't think I would have took Thomas. I've seen in the morning, I would probably not.
It was
Good goal, though.
Aye, he took it well. Pookie took it well.
Boy, we spoke
It's the
about
first time he got in front of the defender all game.
Yeah.
No, he actually made the run and didn't stop.
So what you saying, he moves well?
How did you just feel about Hibs?
First time I've seen it.
I thought there was a bit of fight about Hibs, to be perfectly honest.
just put three banks of defenders. Frankly,
I've been watching
a couple of
them.
times.
We have been watching them and they've gave up.
The ref was terrible.
But you're always-
He let
you're always-
things
he was
go.
shocking. Oh, he was shocking.
He was letting fouls, ridiculous fouls go. Just terrible. Dangerous.
a butcher team is always going to
Aye.
be organised.
Yeah.
And to be honest, had they come out and played from the start the way they did in the last 25 minutes, it would have been a really entertaining game, and they looked as if they could have nicked a goal.
Well, I suppose.
And that's probably the way. That's the disappointing thing just now, is that nobody really wants to enter and play a proper football match against us, which just means you watch turgid matches like that.
Well, I would say a
Well, look
couple
for
of
the-
games before that were good.
Look for the D United coming. You know,
Yes.
that should be a
Aye.
game. We're looking for Aberdeen to come.
I'm glad that young boy Golds signed with them.
Aye, some are.
Staying with them.
Okay, I don't think we'll dwell on that too much longer.
You covering the fans treatment during the games? Are you leaving that into the hot topics?
That's hot topics,
Okay.
yes, we're coming on to that.
Okay.
And Saturday, early kick-off Saturday against Jambos.
12:15, yeah.
And is there a Shambollic trip after that? Or, is that unconfirmed?
There's a Shambollic trip and a few hostilities in Glasgow, I'm like to believe.
So can I tell you, that's the only thing I'm looking forward to about Saturday.
Okay.
I was going for a few beers.
Oh, I take 10 off the Jambos.
Beating the Jambos 10-0.
Jambos can't be looking forward to.
So Shambolic trip.
Listen, if you take your boots, you might get again for the Jambos.
So if you can follow it, I take it, are you going to the Shambollic trip, Vincent?
I'm hoping to.
Are you
I'm
Christmas
hoping
shop or not?
Oh no, I'm not
That's right,
Christmas
Christmas shop is finished.
Aye, last Saturday, last night.
Last weekend. We took in a Shambolic too.
Is there a security cordon around the Shambollic?
So any listeners can follow us on Twitter.
I was going to say,
follow
are
us from
people
pub to pub.
invited? Because you might get a few,
Did you get an invite?
you got a few
Boss?
friends coming along.
Did you get an invite?
Aye,
Well, you did.
I declined it.
We'll come back to that.
I'm glad to hear that.
Brian's organising it. We'll come back to that.
We'll
Okay.
tweet it. We'll tweet it.
Cheers.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock.
Remember, you can get in touch via Twitter, Facebook, our website, and our email address, which is mail@carluke.shamrock.com. Now, the big news this week was the Carluke Shamrock Food Bank collection. So, let's cross over to Ricardo, who's going to tell us how it all went.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock.
Right, thanks for that, Vincent. Yeah, TicTalk is here on the Monday night, as you spoke about, because we had the food bank drop-in session that we did, and I've got a couple of people here with me. First of all, Johnny. Johnny, a regular on the show, of course, and this is something we've seen various food banks from different supporters clubs that we've tried to support through in Glasgow. You've been involved in taking stuff in before games and so on. But it popped up recently in a show where you wanted to kind of do it locally as well, is that right?
That's right. Me, Vincent, Brian Macaulay spoke about it on a TikTok in one of the podcasts. And I had heard somebody mentioned to me that Eileen Logan, the local councillor, had a food bank. So I asked her, and she put me on to Liz.
To Liz, yes.
And it just snowballed for there. And within the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've got it together. We're here tonight, and it's been an overwhelming success. It's actually quite heartwarming, right enough, to see.
It's quite amazing, isn't it?
There's a few people popped in.
Yep.
Although we're a Celtic Supporters Club, I've noticed fans of every team.
That's right.
Locally that's come in, which is great.
Aye.
And brilliant, superb. But I noticed it when I went to Firhill.
Yes, that's
Celtic
right.
played,
The Maryhill Food Bank.
and I'd never really heard of it. To be honest with you, a food bank, it was something I'd never ever. And in that day, everybody walking up to that match had a carry.
That's right.
Peter used to have a bag going to every match, but it wasn't food or that was in it.
Now, that's a whole other show. So, food banks, let's hear from the expert here. So, Liz, lovely to see you this evening.
Thank you very much.
The food bank itself, Clydesdale Food Bank, is that correct?
Yes,
it is. Is that
it
who kind of known as? Yes.
Right.
And what's the background? How did it all come together and your own involvement in it?
It started off from the Church of Scotland in Carluke. There are 3 congregations here, and we try to work fairly closely together. And we'd been looking at how we could work more practically in the community and just show God's love. And this issue of food poverty just started to really rear its head. This was sort of in the spring, summer of 2012.
Right.
So we started to do some research and decided that, yes, there really was a need locally. And initially we were just thinking of Carluke, and then very quickly realised it was the whole of the Clydesdale area that had this problem.
Now, for people listening, we've got guys up and down the country, all over Scotland and all over the world. What's Clydesdale? What's the kind of towns and stuff that we're helping here?
Right, that's from Law Village down through Carluke, Forth, Lanark, Biggar, Douglas, Kirkmuir Hill, Lesmahago, on the other side of the Clyde Valley, all the way down to Abington.
So it's a big area you're covering.
Huge area.
Yeah. Quite an undertaking. Have you got a team behind you that helps out?
We have been so blessed by volunteers. It has been wonderful. We very quickly opened it up to churches of all denominations in Clydesdale to help us. And we decided that the way to go would be to have satellite distribution centres.
Right.
So that sounds awfully posh, but in fact it means that there's just a stash of food packs in various places. So at the moment we've got some in Forth, Lanark, Biggar, Douglas and Kirkmuir Hill.
Right.
And Carstairs Junction. 6 altogether. We have obviously ourselves here in Carluke, and we work under the charity banner of New Beginnings Clydesdale.
Yes.
Who provide starter packs for people who are being rehoused. So household items. So they act as one of our satellites as well.
Right. Now, if someone's listening in from Canada, which they do a lot, and we've got guys in Tokyo, they've heard of the name Carluke, right?
Right.
Now, trying to educate them here. Carluke is not in the Philippines, in a starving village. We've not been hit with a massive storm. We're in 2013 in the UK. So why is this happening? Why do we need food banks? What's going on?
Well, it took a little bit of persuading for some people just to get into their heads that there was this food poverty in this area. Like you say, we haven't been hit by natural disasters, but there are people all over this country, not just in this area, who are just living on the poverty line, and it only takes one unexpected bill to knock them over the edge, and then they have the choice of, do I fix my car or do I put food on the table?
Yeah.
And people living in cities might think that a car is a luxury, We're in a very rural area here.
Indeed.
And particularly as you go further south in Clydesdale into the more rural areas, if you don't have a car, you can't get to work because the public transport system is virtually nil. So there's things like that. There are also a lot of people who are having to survive on benefits. And more, the clients who are coming to us are ones who have had their benefits stopped.
Right.
Often for fairly dubious reasons. It's not necessarily their fault. Maybe a letter's gotten lost in the post, or it has been sent to the wrong address, which happens fairly regularly. Benefits stopped because they don't turn up for their appointments, and they're without money for a month.
And the slide starts.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're seeing both sides. You're seeing things that kind of depress you in some ways, frustrate you, annoy you, but you're also seeing people helping and stepping up to the plate as well. You're kind of seeing the good and the bad of life, I suppose.
Absolutely, the generosity of people who just open their hearts, open their wallets and give what they can. It is just brilliant.
On that, thank you for saying the word wallet, by the way, because as well as the food, we've also got an envelope here with cash. So I need to give that to you. So thanks very much for saying that word.
Very much indeed.
So I hope this all helps you guys.
The amount of stuff that's on those tables through there is just amazing. So I can only say thank you.
Fantastic.
And God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Now, for the folks who've missed it, they might have missed a particular session tonight, but they can still help the Clydesdale Food Bank.
Sure.
Where should they go? When should they go? What kind of times?
Unit 4, Hamilton Street, Carluke, between 10 and 12, Monday to Friday.
Perfect. And the things that you are looking for?
Any sorts of dried packet or packeted foods, cleaning products, personal hygiene products.
Yep.
Just all the sorts of things that go in your own shopping trolleys that will keep.
Yes.
And as long as they're long dated as well.
Perfect. The kind of things that we don't even think twice about.
That's right.
Yeah. And they can be
cans
a
of
massive thing for people.
vegetables, cans of meat products, breakfast cereals, soap, shampoo, toilet rolls.
Right.
The very
Perfect.
basics of life.
Exactly. Excellent. Well, hopefully people will be listening to that and they'll continue to help you, and wish you all the best in your endeavours. I know it's easy for us tonight because we just pass it over to you. You've now got the headache.
Not at all. This is just wonderful, and I just can't thank you folks enough.
Fantastic. Now we've got the president of the club with us to finish off. Peter, as Liz said, a couple of bags.
A few bags.
Were you expecting that? Did you have any idea?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I expected what we put in for the club, and then maybe a couple of bags round about it just to
kind of fluff it out a bit, if you like. So the club itself, touch on that. Johnny mentioned earlier about the different people popping in and out as individuals. We've seen that kind of traffic all night, which is fantastic. But the club, you gathered the committee together and you decided to do something over and above an individual thing.
Well, we went to the members of the club, as we always do.
Yep.
Asked the members of the club, put forward a proposal. They overwhelmingly says no problem. Donate what you want to donate. Donate it. John Haddo and Brian and bought a lot of stuff, and it was all there.
And that was £200 the club managed to put in to help out in that. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing that we're used to. We've got that tradition.
Well, we have.
It's
actually quite a good week for us because we've got the day. A charity donation today, and we've also got another charity donation on Wednesday night for the Willie McLean thing, which is going away to York Hill. Right. So £1,400 going to that. So
fantastic.
It's been a good week for the club.
Excellent. That's a nice wee Christmassy feeling then.
It does, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, guys.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock.
So a really great result there, lads. So who was all there? Who all came across? Brian,
I was there myself.
Everyone at this table.
You remember there was loads of folk
You weren't
there?
there yourself. You were there yourself.
That's what I'm saying myself.
You were in person.
In person.
But it was absolutely fantastic. It brought a cheer to your heart, didn't it?
It did indeed, and
marvellous.
the lady, she was overwhelmed.
That's what I was going to say. Liz, who you just heard there, was she gets told a lot. This club's going to do a wee drop in, or this family's going to try and give you some stuff, blah blah blah, you know. And obviously she gets told a small town's local supporters club is going to have a wee collection for you. So she thinks, oh, that's fantastic, thank you. And she nicks up her wee car and she opened those doors, and Peter, how many tables were there with foods bags just piled high, you know?
Absolutely incredible.
And she's a lady she's an elder in the Church of Scotland, and I'm sure she used her Lord's name in vain when she opened the door. And we ended up, you know, a whole convoy of cars with Brian's van and everything to take the stuff to the place. It was absolutely gobsmacking.
It was marvellous. It was about 7:30. I was going to another meeting, so I just quickly dropped off a wee bag at 7:30. And I couldn't believe the whole porch part. It was just stacked high. Tables were full. Underneath the tables, it was all bags. It was before you had to move it into the big hall.
Aye.
I just couldn't believe it at that time. So that was after 25 minutes maybe and there was so much stuff there. It was just, it was great. You said heartwarming. Absolutely marvellous.
Christmas
and guys that maybe don't get access to provide things like that for charity, that we were able to do that. It was great.
The amount of people that came through was fantastic. You know, there was loads of members who came down. There was people for the town that seen our Facebook and stuff. There was guys from other teams, you know, supporting other teams and stuff that popped along. There was folk who just found it at the last minute on Facebook and Twitter and realised, oh, that's tonight. And thanks to guys like Celtic Research and stuff who were retweeting us all the way. And got the word out there. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
And there'll be a further Green Brigade food bank collection before the Hearts game, I believe. So get yourselves along there if you can. I think it's out and around Celtic Park.
3 points. 3 points to the different 3 points within the outer reaches of the stadium.
Yep. And we've retweeted that and put it on our Facebook page. If people want to see the map with the wee stars where to go and stuff, you can check that out.
Excellent. Good. Warms the cockles of your heart. Well done, everybody. Now, the Paul Larkin book, The Asterix Years, will be available as an audio book for download from this Saturday, which I think is the last shopping trip before Christmas. And if you're downloading during the live Beyond the Waves show, which starts at 8 PM, it will cost you only £4.99. So here's a wee trailer about the audio book.
Now, the referee just looking at his watch, he's not even watching the play.
In 1988, David Murray decided he wanted Rangers.
People don't appreciate how powerful Rangers were at that time, and that was a period when Rangers were buying some of the best players in Britain.
I think my initial project was £7.2 million, and eventually I put in more than £9 million.
A commission led by Lord Nimmo Smith found the Ibrox club should have disclosed payments through an offshore employee benefit trust to the SPL, but that it did not gain an unfair competitive advantage by doing so.
They've been sold down the river by the quotes governing bodies, unquotes, in terms of the SFA and the SPL, who've absolutely failed the game. I think that's beyond any shadow of doubt. And I think they've also been sold down the river by the state of football journalism in Glasgow.
What you're about to read is the story of how David Murray put a stranglehold not just on Scottish football, but Scottish society in an attempt to put Rangers to the top of European football and consign Celtic to the annals of history, and how they lost.
It finishes. Celtic 6, Rangers 2.
Craig White wasn't available to be interviewed today, but his spokesman said the chairman and the current board of Rangers Football Club have nothing to fear from any investigation by any agency.
The Asterisk Years audiobook, available from the 22nd of December. For more details and to get added to the information list, go to theasteriskyears.com.
Okay, so fill your boots there with the audiobook. Richard, any more to say on that?
Yes, the audiobook, as you said, coming out Saturday. That wee trailer suggests it's the Sunday, but because Paul's getting interviewed on Beyond the Waves, it's going to be the Saturday night. That's been a big project, loads of guys have been involved in from HailHailMedia, and it's a cracking audiobook. kind of involved with it, just in a small part myself at different times. We, of course, quite a few guys here, we were at the book launch for the kind of paperback and Kindle version of the book, The Asterisk Years, and there's been tons of folk getting in touch and asking, what about the videocast? What about the podcast you were doing?
What about the videocast, Richard?
Thank you. It's an excellent question.
There's another one.
What's the definition of
that's four.
tons of folk? You're two tons.
Oh, back to the Weight Watchers.
Tons of folk.
Richard, sorry, but you stopped in your prime there.
Aye, we were at the Glasgow book launch, so we recorded everything and we interviewed and we spliced it all together. We spent a lot of time on it and put it together. We're quite happy with it. And then a few things started to happen just before the weekend that we published it. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. Forces from out with started to apply pressure, making it clear that they would not wish, especially the videocast, to be published. The videocast, of course, capturing some of the flowcharts and stuff that the book has that explains the connections between people and corporations. Again, I'm trying to think about what I can say and what I can't say. A lot of that pressure was directed to the author himself and the people around him. We, as a club, and myself being the guy that would release a podcast, got a fair bit of it. Thankfully, it wasn't as personal as a lot of other people were getting. There was legal matters, I can say that. And at this point, I would place money on it that you won't hear or see it. It's probably, on one part, it's probably just kind of easier to let it go. On two parts, we're careering on into the audiobook coming out anyway. And then Paul will explain there's actually going to be a film documentary about it as well. So it's not as if we're kind of shying away from that battle and letting other people win, but they've got a few legal things that they can use, let's call them tricks, that they can legitimately use to stop it getting published.
Mm-hmm. So people are intimidating people into not...
Yes. Some being very polite about it, some absolutely not polite, and some very strict professional and legal moves. And it's those ones, and I need to, it's fine playing about with TicTalk and being involved with it, but I need to bear in mind that anything I throw out on stuff, it's in the club's name.
Yeah.
And I'm very aware of that fact and all the members involved with that club, so me just saying, I saw dues, I'll show you, that's no fair. And I do know there's at least 3 particular legal points that some people could come back and cause the club a lot of hassle, unfortunately.
So we're going to leave that in your very capable hands, Richard, and you'll keep us posted. Anything else on that will be updated through TicTalk if and when possible. Okay, another just couple of hot topics and news. Slightly more sombre note, thoughts and prayers from Carluke Shamrock with HailHailMedia pal Josh Gaffney, whose father passed away recently. Yeah.
Yes, fabulous service, well attended, and a lovely send-off.
Mm-hmm. So, thoughts and prayers from all of us. One other shout out, I was contacted by Stephen O'Donnell, who's just released a new book called Paradise Road, and it's now available on Amazon, flying off the shelves. Described as a character novel, and it's based around Celtic. It tells of the exploits of Scottish football prospect Kevin McGarry on his journey through life and his love of Shambollic. So a really good Christmas present again there. We're bringing you loads of ideas for Christmas presents, and that's another one.
And Celtic, or was it
Celtic?
As in the Celtic?
Celtic.
Right.
That's just what I'm saying. I'm leaving it like that.
And as a professional
Just
host,
leaving it
when
out
this guy got in touch with you to plug the book, did you grab him for an interview?
Of course I did.
Good
Yes.
man. Good man.
No, I didn't. Look at him. Look at him.
Obviously,
the body language here just slumped.
So taking a wee note there.
Richard didn't suspend it.
Yellow card.
You mentioned that you've provided loads of gift ideas for Christmas. I must have missed the others.
Well, you maybe should listen back to the other podcast.
Oh, right, previous. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant tonight.
Well, that's not what I meant, Brian. Right. So,
thanks.
Okay.
If you could clarify.
Can we go to another break, please? Remember Vincent's Christmas show is finished?
No, it's not Saturday. I still got a Saturday.
Christmas is actually the day.
I still got a
That
Saturday.
was last Saturday. Last Christmas Saturday.
Okay, Richard, there are another couple of things that you're just going to
yes, this book here,
tantalise the readers with.
just when you speak about Christmas ideas and grabbing people for interviews and stuff,
Unrepentant.
in my hand is a massive, glossy, very impressive production. You guys can see.
Yeah.
This is called The Unrepentant Internet Bampots, and it's volume 1. When you think back to the kind of Rangers, God rest their soul, dying, and there was these geniuses online, Cartuja, Arsene Parceli. I was no sure how to pronounce his surname. Do you know that? Anyway, you can tell me, you can correct me when you get in touch, mate. Night of the Living Rednecks and Tin Soldier. These were the guys who are just geniuses at bringing up graphics. Some absolutely hilarious stuff. So I ordered it and I got it through, and honestly, it'll blow you away. So glossy, so professional, very a large publication. You guys can flick through it. Loads of great kind of memories and keepsakes. Very, very funny and absolutely brilliant. So if you watch Cartuja KDS on Twitter, he's got the links to it. You can buy it.
How can we get a hold of that?
He's got the links.
At Cartuja KDS, and he's been tweeting it.
Yes.
And I have to say, I was kind of swithering whether I should buy it. I was up visiting Richard the other night and I got a wee look at it, and I'm definitely getting it.
I was blown
outstanding. That's one to show the grandkids.
Exactly.
It really is. It's so good.
Keepsake is perfect.
Do you know how they say, they try and say they never died? Here you go.
Here's volume 1. Get it off you.
I think I might buy 1,000 of them.
Distribute them, really.
Leave one in the bar and the Thaki and the captain.
Talking of that famous internet bampot, Cartuja, myself and Vincent are in discussions with the famous mystery person himself, and we're hoping to get an interview lined up with him. We're trying to get the NSA and Google involved so that his whereabouts can be traced. So watch this space, as they say. Watch this space, because there's loads we want to know about him, his background, how he got involved with it all, the funniest ones, the ones he's loved the best. And the book itself, as myself and Vincent have started to find out, there's quite a few stories around the publication of the book as well. All sorts of shenanigans going on.
Disclose it.
So watch
I
this
can imagine.
space.
I know he's had quite
Tantalising.
serious
Teasers in this show. TikTok teasers. Hashtag
TikTok teasers. So Richard and moving swiftly on.
Right, last one. Anybody who listens to the Homeboys knows about this, the calendar. It's a girls' thing, very controversial. The infamous the infamous David Harper got involved. His local club, the St Lawrence's CSC, and it is for charity. I should make that clear. With the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland and also the Kano Foundation, who we all know and love, of course. 2,000 people, as Brian said the other night there.
Oh, excellent. 2,000 child, yeah.
Fantastic.
Superb.
So that's what it's for. Celtic calendar. Why is it called It's a Girls' Thing? Well, there's ladies.
Why is it, Richard? Why is it
Well, wait,
called
here. You ready for this unvailing?
Was this Miss September?
This is Miss. So,
Can we get straight into a break?
how long do you need the break?
Hold them up. So this is a calendar. You said it was going to be acceptable for me to present to Declan.
That's when you see this. I mean, you'll not please anyone with that.
So loads of people sponsor different months, and the HailHailMedia family sponsored this September.
Happy days.
Hello.
Happy days.
And my personal favourite is actually.
It's personal favourite.
Let's just get through them.
Brian, is they pieces stuck together?
Russian, yeah.
But Maeve, wait, see her. That's a lovely lady. Is that Maeve? Maeve, how do you pronounce it?
It doesn't matter.
Maeve, is it? Beautiful. So, that calendar.
I'll be back in 5.
Vinny, that calendar was shocking. That calendar was put up my house when I arrived. Mrs. Swan came home and it was taken.
She's an objectifying woman.
Exactly. That's what she said. That's what she said. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it away. We're going to give it away as a prize to our listeners.
No, come on.
No, this one you're not.
I'm not listening.
Well, you can win it.
What about the talkers? Do they get in?
You can listen. Absolutely. How do you win it? All you need to do is send us a tweet to @KarlukeShamrock, and if you've listened to this podcast, pick out a line or a phrase, something that somebody said, and use that as a quote.
Right, sorry.
Might be something funny, serious, something that kind of sticks in your mind. So if you tweet @KarlukeShamrock with the quote and just hashtag TicTalk, and we'll pick out the best quote that you've used out of the podcast, and we'll send that to the winner. And it might be Kevin.
I never heard any of that.
Sorry, what was it?
You can listen back to the podcast.
So the hashtag, yep, just
Listen,
to
you've got
clarify.
a good chance of winning the prize if you enter.
You have.
Okay.
There's like 6 of you
Just to
that might
clarify
listen
that.
to us.
That was a couldn't really hear you properly.
Sorry,
So
they've
pick a quote from pick a quote from tonight's podcast, quote it to @KarlukeShamrock, hashtag TicTalk, and we'll pick a winner. Is that right?
That's the
Sorry
one,
about that.
that's the one.
We were distracted there. Now, there's no many of these calendars left. My understanding is
49 earlier on today.
so you need to get in quick here. You need to get in quick.
So you need to go this Drogheda. God bless the Keno Foundation.
Did they go where?
Drogheda. Oh, a Shambollic tour to Drogheda. Eh? The internet bump, I think it's maybe $12.99, something like that. Follow.
Okay, so fill your boots with all that. Really good stuff. We're very productive and creative support.
Oh, but fantastic. Fantastic.
Summer.
But we do have some issues.
We're with you now. Okay, I want 10 minutes of sevco fun. Okay. We've got a few hot topics, but tomorrow is AGM, yes.
Yes.
So it's all going to be very dignified tomorrow.
Big day. Don't know how it's going to go. Nobody knows how it's going to go. Good old Charlotte fakes.
Fantastic.
So I didn't actually see the stuff myself.
Before they get suspended.
Suspended in minutes. Now.
Brilliant. That's just your claim to fame. You're that much a uber anti-Sevconian that you get. They're sitting watching you every second of every day.
That is a proper internet banpot.
Banpottery.
So it's the AGM tomorrow. White's just lost the ticket appeal, so will he be looking for?
No, did he not win it?
No, he lost it.
No, he lost it.
So he'll be looking for 17 million fairly rapidly.
Yes.
Where and how is he going to get that?
How could you get that kind of money?
I don't know.
I mean, you need a big asset.
A big
asset.
Really?
No, like something like I don't know, a football stadium or something.
Go, so stupid.
Ka-ching!
Aye, but that's worth 90 million, is it not? One stand.
That was only 5 million.
So, what's going to happen tomorrow? We're going to confirm
I don't know. Normally I go to the guy who's the manager of that kind team.
And he'll
for a bit of understanding, guidance how it's going to go. But he's not sure yet.
No, I think maybe did they not pass the buck and say can somebody else take this?
Vincent, it was a work. As I'll paraphrase somebody on football phone another night. It was a work of genius.
Oh, well done, DJ.
Sorry, I didn't
work of genius.
I didn't pick up there.
Is it true he won the BBC split personality?
That could be a quote. For the calendar. Hashtag TikTok.
BBC sports person split personality of the year.
Big super.
I can't claim that. I was tweeted.
Just give him the calendar.
Give him the calendar. Competition's over.
I'll be in my bedroom tonight.
So we suspect that they'll confirm the current board tomorrow. Is that what we're
That's
thinking?
what we suspect,
I
yes.
think so.
But you've got to weigh
Does
up.
that mean everything's then okay then? Does that mean right, okay, that's good.
Aye, bang on.
So they're back.
Things will be transparent.
That's
Things will be transparent from there
According to
on in.
Mr. Easdale, he's got plenty of investors sitting in the background.
Just waiting.
Just waiting.
Right.
Just waiting
Aye,
to come in and play all this money into them.
I'm starting to get a bit worried. That sounds quite ominous, as if
A boy from France with a big castle, a lot of money. he's just ready to move.
Do you think we'll actually find out who Blue Pitch Holdings are tomorrow?
No chance.
There's something like 18 resolutions that are lined up, and my God, that's going to be fun to follow on Twitter.
Do you know
what? I actually thought about buying a share.
Aye, that's what
I did.
That's more than Paul Murray's.
Just to be great. Imagine you were sitting there. It'd be even better to bump into somebody who can look and they're like, what are you doing here? I'm just here to take a piss.
I'm for Blue Pitch Holdings.
That's right. I'm for what's the other one?
Margarita.
Margarita.
I should walk in with a big sombrero on and a caranet.
Castanets.
Clarinet.
Masochist.
Singing for the floor. Who has Blue Pitch Holdings?
Listen, see just standing up in a podcast here.
Imagine there's going to get a pizza delivery tomorrow.
Oh, a lot of margaritas. There's going to be a lot of margaritas.
Where is the AGM? Is it actually it?
It's on the park. No, it's on the park.
Oh, surely somebody's got
an act of God.
Somebody got an airplane, no?
Surely it'll be raining all day.
Oh, hope the weather's really good.
It's supposed to be. I've got a big stage and all that set up, seemingly.
Oh, fantastic.
I remember they did that at Celtic Park. It was the main stand. It was Baltic. You don't want it.
You don't want it.
It's marvellous. Brian, what's your inside track? What can you tell us? There's no out there already.
I see, that's the difficulty, because I don't know everything that's out there, but I do know some stuff. No, I can't really say much. I do know, I was speaking to someone and some of the insights that he gave me to Vincent, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Remember, Big Dave King is flying into Govan International Airport as we speak.
Is it?
Aye, so he can try and plead for Paul Murray to get a wee job.
Is he the saviour?
Without buying anything, just please. Just please
let me. I seen in the news now, Big Dave says that if they vote the chairman back in, fair enough, but I'm here.
Aye, that's right, I'm here just in case
you don't want that chairman, I'm here.
Dave King.
Big Dave King.
Big super rich
Big
Dave
Froster.
King. Remember, he settled a couple of wee issues with the tax authorities.
So there's a boy on the day.
He's not a criminal.
I was driving into Glasgow and he was talking about Margarita and Blue Pitch, and he was saying, cause it's obviously these investors hide behind anonymity of these kind of trusts, and the reason they do it is because they don't want anyone to know anything about them.
Aye.
And this guy's argument was that shouldn't be allowed. This is Rangers you're talking about. So forget about the fact that the world over these faceless trusts exist in every walk of life. It shouldn't happen because this is Rangers. That was it.
And it's no.
Well, that boy's not used to dealing
Sorry, it's the Rangers International Football Club.
He's not used to dealing with regulations and rules.
And then somebody says, well, this happens, blah, 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 all over the world. And he said, and they used an example, and I can't think offhand what the example was. And he says, but that would be different because if you're an investor, some people do want anonymity. If I win £1 million and I wanted to put it in Rangers, I would just sit back. I wouldn't be taking an active role, but they should be named because they're taking an active role. They're deciding who the chairman is. They're deciding this. He just wanted all the rules associated with financial governance and these trusts and stuff out the window.
Brilliant.
because it affected.
What they want is they want to know who they need to go to intimidate.
Correct.
And
it's
like McCoist.
Super salary.
Name these people. Salary. Name these. Who are these people? When they knew fine well who they were, which
but he wanted them
totally forgotten about in the press because he's cheeky chappy.
He's made a lot of sacrifices, Brian. To be honest.
Oh,
he suggested.
I've got one.
He suggested these salaries should be cut.
Aye, but
I don't know if it is out there. I've heard that he didn't. McCoist didn't request the cut in salary.
That was on.
No. He voiced it in an arena that was not accepted by the board as an official request.
Yes.
You know, you ran
Yes,
to
yes, yes.
that kind of thing, aye.
Aye.
And that's why the
Right,
cuts
is that
never
how-
been made, aye.
Because I don't know.
So
I
was
don't
that
read this
the
stuff.
The cut's never to, he's still on the same salary.
Cut, he's on the exact same salary.
It's never the salary
The
hadn't been
whole
cut.
garbage, just 45%.
Remember he
cut.
said,
Oh, it was a
I'm
back page headline
happy.
news
That's
about
why-
how generous he was for about 4 months.
Exactly. That's
Number
why.
five, number
That's
six.
how much. Hey, he loves that club. That's how much I love it. It's in my heart.
Definitely.
I've dropped the 800 grand to 400 grand for the third
Doesn't
division.
do walking away from 800,000.
See, when you're talking about this, can I check with you? Because see my feelings with what it's been in the past and now.
Check away.
Come on then. See, for me,
I'm
this
ready
is
for
just
this
a nice wee calm laugh for me nowadays. See, when somebody says like sevco, if you get that as well, it's just a nice wee comedy thing. See, going back to the real Rangers who died, God rest their soul, and they were found out as cheats.
No, I've got rotten hell.
I was I was trying to be.
I didn't have any soul.
It's Christmas, Kev.
Rotten hell. It's Christmas. You know, they found out as cheats. You know, they broke all the rules, etc. etc. Ultimate rage, and especially, and I might go into that, especially with my own club and how they dealt with that situation. You know, rage beyond anything but what they done. But see now, because they died, and because yes, their followers are now with this new club and stuff, I really don't care about them. I just kind of pity them and laugh them, and I pick up Twitter as oh look at that, there's a Kevin Bridges joke. Oh look at that, a sevco AGM. You know, it's that kind of. There's nothing there anymore. I don't have any.
I think I would agree with
emotion in that way.
entirely.
Aye.
But there's probably one thing that does grate with me just a little bit is the total turnaround of a full Scottish football establishment, media, courts, ASA, all try to cover up and tell
the lie
and try and perpetuate the lie and say it so often enough that actually maybe that is true and they still try and tell us that they're the same club and that kind of grates on me a little bit, but know what, I'm comfortable and happy in the knowledge that they died.
It's really nice,
but it's still great.
But this is we're going to move on to the other subject. This is what's annoying me now about Celtic. This is what's annoying me, your support, everything about this what's happening. This is a time when we should be laughing what we've just done and enjoying being the top dog, because that's what we are. Except we are ripping ourselves apart.
We've got our own civil war to deal with.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're ripping ourselves apart.
And that's where I see the real focus. That's the real issues. For me, this sevco thing, it's just to be a laugh on the side.
You know what I mean?
Just a laugh on the side.
I was saying that to Brian tonight. I mean,
right, I think
why,
we're on
why
to
do we
it
rip
now.
our
Carry on.
We're just ripping ourselves apart. You know what I mean? Everybody's. It's as if we've got nothing else to argue with, so we might as well argue with each other. You know what I mean?
That's pretty much it.
There's been a lot of mistakes.
I mean, one of these seats you talked about, Firth Park at Lawwell, fuck off. On it. You know what I mean?
Was that actually written on it, or was that edited?
That was on the paper.
In the photo?
No. Well,
it was. I'm not sure. I've seen it on Twitter.
Probably was.
I don't know.
No, it was. It was written on the seats.
Right.
It was written on the seats. You know,
drawing.
It really mystifies me, the Celtic sport at the moment. We should be jumping through, I mean, having a laugh, having a joke, singing about Celtic. You know what I mean? I've got to swing some round to you. I actually read this the other day there, and I agreed with the guy. And it's what I've been thinking. What does Celtic mean to you? What is Celtic?
That sounds like a Shambollic.
What are they? They're a football team. And that's what we go and enjoy. What is your best moments following Celtic?
That's definitely a Shambollic question. That's a brilliant Shambollic question.
I don't mean that. I'm not. But your memories at Celtic are in the football field.
No, not necessarily. Lots of my best memories are actually away from the football field. Don't get me wrong, I've got lots of great memories of the football field, but more memories
friends, family.
of away from. Now the football at times has contributed to those good things, both positive and negative. When we've been playing great and it's been a celebration of achieving something, it's been great. Equally, there's been times when we were in the darkest days when we were on our
You've
knees
almost
and we had the crowd and Wednesday.
And I don't even remember the games. I remember the nights.
One at a time. I do.
No, when they were running 9 in a row, right? We were a more united club than what we are now.
So true. But that's what happens
No,
when your back's against the wall.
we were.
Sorry, one at a time.
You know?
We were.
It's an half bag.
You know, we were a more united club than what we were now.
Yep. Because that was adversity, but
correct.
I think Peter
That's what happens, isn't it?
just
people
in
pulled
adversity,
together.
pulled together. We had to cheer each other up because we were getting through
This is
some really dark.
kind of
like
this
what
is,
Sevco
this is
do.
my point. This is my point of view. We seem to have run out of stuff to argue about. Rangers are not there, right? And it's as if the Celtic supposed to get bored. Oh, come on, we'll just argue with each other.
But at the same
I think
point,
there's extenuating circumstances that you're going to tell us about. Richard.
But I don't agree with sentence telling me.
but
Brian touched it earlier on. This happened. This isn't a new phenomenon, by the way, with the police. This was happening 20...
Well, hold on.
20 years ago, Richard. I ran about in all this. I know these circles. Right? And we were getting plucked out of crowds 20 years ago.
Yep.
So this to me is no a new phenomenon.
The act is a new
So what's the
phenomenon.
difference now, Richard?
It's only the act.
The act is a very new
The
phenomenon.
act, I know it's a load of crap.
Yes.
But
Right, but what I'm
the
saying is...
technology to be able to
but it did...
monitor you,
Sorry,
it's different now.
See what happened to you in Amsterdam with the undercover police. That was common. That was common knowledge.
I know.
They were standing next to you in the grounds 20 years ago. This isn't a new phenomenon. I'm sorry to break it down, but this
The thing
isn't.
is, if they were standing next to you and there was something that happened and they got gubbed, then there wasn't a video trained on you for the 90 minutes just to see what you were doing and where you opened your mouth or whether you opened your mouth or you sang that particular song. That's the technology and what they're actually, the way they're trying to enforce things now is dramatically different from what it was back then.
I disagree with you. I totally disagree. I do.
The technology change is factual.
Technology.
You can't disagree.
Coppers with video cameras.
We made a point earlier, we can't have the good bit.
You done the
bad
Polar
bit,
Cop
Brian.
story next to
You know what I'm talking
Seen his
about?
pal, he said that.
One at a time.
It's the same thing.
Brian, what were you saying?
We were talking earlier there, would you call it, about the good points and the bad points. You've got great points about the technology, and you've got bad points about the technology now. It's just everyone's now, as you say, social media, everyone's out there. There's no hiding place. And that's how the police are trying to cover up themselves, look what he was doing. That's the reason why we done that. And see back, as Peter says, see back then, the undercover police stood next to you. They get weighed into it. But nowadays, you can't do that. Because the cameras and everything, they go to courts now, they're producing these things in courts.
It's even more than that. If the undercover was next to you and you get huckled out the ground, nothing happens now, and they video you and they turn up at your work on the Monday morning or the Tuesday morning, and they kick your door in at 6 o'clock on the Thursday morning.
They were doing that 10, 15, 20 years ago. Aye, they were.
Well, certainly not to the same extent as
they were.
Nowadays, I would say it's more now, but it did happen, Kevin. That did happen. But would you call it?
Did that 20 years ago? You deserved to get your women door kicked in if you were
stupid.
If they knew who you were,
where you lived, where you were going.
They all knew.
Different
Brian, they all knew. Like, see, every club had their casual movement. They all know. They all knew who. There's that thing that was doing at Fir Park there a couple of years ago. They had that Saturday service. They had a book launch and all that carry on doing at Fir Park.
Right.
They all knew. They knew every one of them in it. Simple as that. The Polish knew every one of them in it. You could go. It was, at that time was the train specials. See the trains?
Oh yes,
you know what I mean?
ICF and all these.
You know what I mean?
We went up to Aberdeen one time when I was running about. I can't even mention his name, but when I was running about, you know who I'm talking about. We had a few bevies, and that's what he used to do. He says, "Come on, guys, come on." So I went up with the Millwall casuals all the way up to Aberdeen, right? On the train, drinking away. We never even got off the train. They didn't even let us off the train. The police were standing waiting for us at Aberdeen station. Walked us across the bridge, put us back on another train, sent us back to the road.
Hold on, I missed some here. You went up with Motherwell casuals.
We've got a referee training, we've got Motherwell casuals. It's all correct.
Richard, what's your thoughts on end up Aberdeen? Sorry, what's your thoughts on why it's different now to the way it was then? What's your thoughts about how different it is now to what Peter's describing as yeah, there is some similarities, but actually my feelings is the atmosphere is different. It feels a very different environment socially,
Yes.
and the act's part of it, but it's more than that.
Absolutely. And I think Peter was right when he started off saying about people arguing just for the sake of it, but I mean that's always kind of went on, and you're right, some folk like to have it black and white. I'm in this camp, I'm in this camp. I hate the board. I don't care if the board give me £1 million, I'm going to complain about the tax, you know. Or I'm with let's pick a group, apologies for doing it, but the Green Brigade, I'm a Green Brigade fan, and even if they stab somebody, it was their fault for running into a knife. There is really stupid folk that do that. They go black and white, polarised.
Extremes.
Exactly, and it's total nonsense. So that kind of arguing, and you're right, that's when folk are on the high and they should be coming together. But there are real important issues that is killing the club just now, and that's the board's behaviour in certain matters, that's the Offensive Behaviour Act, that's hooligans that rip up seats at a game. There's real issues going on, how we're getting treated, how things are happening with political speech, freedom of speech, laws that are getting changed, all these things that we've got to keep our eye on the ball with it all. And there's real issues that are getting debated and argued back and forth, as well as wee daft silly arguments between extremists.
Well, I think it's going to get blown out of the water when this thing comes to court. As you've seen it, 7 guys have been charged tonight.
The Roll of Honour.
Right. I think that once that goes to court, I'll get blown out of the water.
Yes, because of the way it's worded. And it's got nothing to do with the OB Act.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
There's 7 guys who've been arrested for singing the Roll of Honour. But they have
from
not,
which game?
2 games. 3 games actually.
3 games. And they've not been done under the Offensive Behaviour Act. They've been done under
inciting,
likely to incite a breach of the peace or something. I can't remember what the tail end is.
Violence, wasn't it?
Something like that. But whatever it is, they're not using the Act, and
they're not using the Act because they haven't been successful before.
Correct.
No,
this has already been thrown in.
They've already used. You know the guy that was.
Told you about the whole. The guy having to go to court 6 times in Dundee, having the same sheriff that had 2 months earlier thrown out a case involving a Celtic fan at Dens Park. This one was related to Tannadice. It's 5 or 6 visits to court, constantly been put off, and then in the morning of the final visit when it had to be, they swapped the sheriff who was due to get, who'd previously let somebody off with singing the Roll of Honour, for someone else, Hamish McDuff or something like that, who then walked in, hadn't been involved in the case, and immediately found them guilty. On a video camera that was planked in the opposite end of the ground.
That's right.
And at the back of the opposite end of the ground, and it zoomed straight in, and there was the whole Celtic end was singing it, and they picked one person out from it. And
singing
the Roll of Honour. And the video clip lasted 26 seconds.
Yep.
That's the lengths to which these guys are going.
And these are real issues.
That's
these are
where
real
it's different
things
from.
that we've got to step up.
That's true, Brian.
And debate and argue and sort out. You know, they're not just wee idly-piddly fights on a supporters bus or something. The issues just now are just ridiculous.
Just before you go into that, another thing we were previously discussing about that came through Twitter and Tom Minogue and stuff like that came out with regards to Celtic's position in that. Can you elaborate on that?
Aye. For folks who might follow Tom Minogue on Twitter, he's a guy who's released quite a few documents, and quite a few of them today and the previous days have highlighted how the Celtic board were directly involved in meetings with the Scottish Government and Stephen House from the police to set up protocols and tactics and the OB Act that was coming in, and they were involved in all these meetings. And then later on, 3 months later, whatever it was, the Act had been put through, the Celtic board released a statement that said, we're kind of against this. It was kind of totally brought out as a surprise. We've no time to really evaluate it. And if you look at the 2 documents, it looks like just an outright lie. And that's what I've got a real problem with just now. How our board's behaviour has been on some major issues, especially over the past couple of years.
I think that's true because I think that's true because I'll tell you why I think it's true. Because I was out working the other day there, and I was driving home, and I was listening to Radio Scotland, and I think it was First Minister's Questions had finished or something. I don't know why I had one, but I don't. And Rosanna Cunningham was on after it, and she got interviewed with I can't remember the guy, doesn't matter. But he said to her, which I've even crashed the car. He said to her, says, they went on about the third part, ripping up the seats and blah blah blah.
Yep.
And she says, yes, I was actually talking to Peter Lawwell this morning.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, what is she talking to Peter Lawwell? What's that about? You know what I mean? She didn't elaborate on it, like, you know. So that just shows you these meetings are.
Aye, taking place. Aye.
The reality of the situation is the press have had an absolute field day. On the morning of Nelson Mandela's memorial service, which has attended with the biggest number of foreign international leaders the world has ever seen in one place, the front page, the entire front page of the Daily Retard was about the Green Brigade being banned or banished or whatever the headline wording was. That just shows you they've been waiting for this opportunity just to absolutely go to town. And that's where I get a bit frustrated, very frustrated at the way Celtic have chosen. Celtic have been bullied, chosen to deal with it. Celtic have been bullied into doing what they've done. However, the Green Brigade and the people who hang around about it have not helped things by making themselves an easy target. And the problem we have now is, in my opinion, we're in a spiral downwards. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Of course,
and to be honest, I don't see. We said this months and months and months and months ago. I don't see this ending well.
No.
And it's. I can't see how it's going to get any better.
I don't know where did the Green Brigade become. When the Green Brigade first came on the scene, they were fantastic. The great Celtic songs, just can't get enough, all that kind of stuff. The one about Lisbon, fantastic. And I was saying to Brian, see, we were at Hampden a year, the semi-final. I think it was there last season or the season before. I can't remember. It was one of the two. And we were sat right next to the Green Brigade. We couldn't move for them. They were right next to us. And I said to Brian, can you remember my words that day? And he says, no. 72 minutes, this is how I can remember it. I says to Brian that day, I says, that's 72 minutes gone. And that Green Brigade has not sung one Celtic song. Not one Celtic song they'd sung. What they started singing was all the Irish stuff, all the way through it. And not one Celtic song they'd sing. About a Celtic player, about anything, the Jimmy McGrory, anything. You know? And that's why I think the Green Brigade has changed. You know? They started came into Parkhead, the Roll of Honour. They never used to sing all that at Parkhead. No, when they first started. They started singing Celtic songs all the time at Parkhead. All this seemed to roll in. I don't know what your views are on that.
Aye, see, there's so much of it. It's not an easy thing, and it's not a black and white thing, and it's easy to just pick groups and say, oh, that's this, that's this. You have to dive into the detail on every one of the issues. And when you bring up something with songs, you can dive into that, and there's there's a whole spectrum, and you can talk for ages.
I don't see anything wrong with singing the Roll of Honour.
Well,
correct.
See, I'm a wee bit different for you, Brian. I don't see anything wrong with singing the Roll of Honour either. But I don't see why it's singing Celtic Park.
Which is fine.
But it's not illegal. It shouldn't
I
be
never
illegal.
say it's legal. That's not what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not what I'm saying. All I'm trying to say is we should be singing about Celtic.
I understand what you mean. I think I think they've become more radicalised. I think when they started, they were a fan group. If my memory serves me right, the section was designated as a kind of singing section.
It was.
So to bring people together, I think they've become more radicalised, and actually the whole kind of anti-fascist political element has really grown in strength amongst them. So the Antifa anti-fascist movement, I think that the Republican support for the Republican movement is really strong, and I also think that this ultra movement has become more and more and more important to them, because I think they see that as being a big thing in a European context and gets recognition in a European context, and clubs in Italy and Spain and Turkey and all these kind of places, and I think they have become a more radicalised group of people. I think that is not necessarily a good thing within the context of the stadium supporting Celtic in many facets. but Celtic fans have always been fairly politicised.
Football fans have always been.
Well,
but Celtic even worse.
Well, in terms of left-wing politics in particular.
Aye, correct.
But you do have to take cognizance of the fact that it is a changing world. Celtic support is a dramatically more divergent support, or diverse support than they've probably ever been in my history of going to watch them. Because when I started going to watch Celtic, it was Irish Catholics and the diaspora who supported them. And if you probably do a straw poll of people who attend Celtic Park, that grouping, or generic grouping, I think will be massively different. I mean, the amount of people that come from the north of Scotland and buses to support Celtic.
You're sure?
So I think there's lots of things, and I'm really struggling to understand how this is going to end well. I'm disgusted at the club on the behaviour, for example, on Saturday. I'm not a board hater. I get absolutely pissed off on Twitter with people who just all they do is hate the PLC. I just can't understand the mentality of someone just hate the PLC, and likewise I can't understand the mentality of someone who hates the Green Brigade.
Exactly.
Just to hate the Green Brigade, or just to hate the politics of the Green Brigade.
Instead of saying, see that behaviour there, that's good. See that behaviour there, that's bad.
So being objective about it.
Exactly.
But the board is the same.
And you've got two distinct. It seems there's very little shades of grey.
I think that's Twitter, and I think we can sometimes get caught up in these online things where people are more extreme than what you would be in a conversation.
Very true. Very true.
And that's kind of what comes through. Whereas I don't think if you go to the game on Saturday or likes of we speak, none of us are 100% everything the Green Brigade do are right, and none of us are 100% everything the board. We're not at those extremes, and I think generally the Celtic support is like that. They're maybe other than the board themselves and the Green Brigade themselves, where they are stubborn. Both of them.
I've been really disappointed in some of the failings of the board recently.
I've been disappointed in the failings of the Green Brigade.
Yes,
both.
How did you feel, Richard, when they unfurled that bar against AC Milan?
I'll come to that, definitely. Yes,
I thought it was good.
You said you tried to weigh up, my disappointment in the failings of the board, disappointment in the failings of the Green Brigade. When I look at a board of highly paid, professional, educated, middle-aged men, etc., maybe I just expect a wee bit better.
Well, that's...
And I think
maybe
that's
you should realise your expectations.
Probably is. Was it the Milan banner? I thought that was, to answer that, and it's good that you've done that because you've narrowed in on something. That's what we've got today. You can't just sit back and go, that's pish, or they're bad. You're right. So that banner, in my eyes, was a fantastic, outstanding, well put together, articulate banner, thought-provoking on a very important subject, and entirely the wrong match.
Exactly.
Should have done it in a week.
Absolutely.
And there you go. It's no black or white.
Exactly.
The banner was outstanding, and it showed the disgraceful issue that's going on in Scotland just now. But it was in the right match because of UEFA, the corrupt UEFA that are in charge of things, and will just slap down a ban.
But also part of the context associated with it is that morning the white paper for Scottish independence was released.
Correct. So it's not black or white that way.
That's not black and white.
But
although the UEFA rules are absolutely clear and concise, and I say this at the last one: UEFA have not fined Celtic because the banner is wrong or illegal or is out of order. They have fined Celtic because it's a political expression and they do not allow political expressions. They're not saying it's right or it's wrong. The way that it's been presented is UEFA banned Celtic because of this illegal banner.
Because it was Bobby Sands.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Nothing to do with it.
And in addition to that, Richard, you touched on the corrupt UEFA side of things. A week or 2 weeks later, there's banners everywhere, and quite rightly so for Nelson Mandela. But surely that's political.
That absolutely depressed me that Celtic supporters even comparing it to. It really depressed me.
In what respect?
It's the hypocrisy. That's what's peeing me off about
reading the Daily Record does, Peter.
One at a time. But
You go to
What
football.
did Stuart Cosgrove say on Saturday?
Stuart Cosgrove said on the radio on Saturday that you couldn't, just what Peter said, you couldn't compare the two because one was a democratically elected leader and one of them wasn't.
I know where that's going.
One of them wasn't.
So Nelson Mandela was democratically elected and Bobby Sands wasn't. Bobby Sands was an MP.
I'm sure he wasn't talking about William Wallace.
Must have been William Wallace.
Well, he actually just said, he said both of them. He said both William Wallace and Bobby Sands
Cosgrove taking a slip up in that.
don't
See the way we're going about here and talking about this? We've lost the fun in football.
Ah, exactly. It's about football. This is the thing I'm trying to across.
You were brought
see 2 years ago.
See when you were younger.
Sorry,
Can you hear voices?
Brian Connolly has been saying
he's just said.
Let him finish, Brian.
When we were brought up as kids, gone in the back of the motor, shoved in like sardines in the back of the motor, it was for the love of football. See the new, I think they kids.
Do you remember the songs that were sung at Celtic back then?
You better believe it, Brian.
Remember the songs in the cardigan,
See now, you'd have been arrested.
The parish priest in the front is
You'd
joining
be
in.
arrested now.
But what I'm saying to you, Brian, is at that time it was fun. Everyone, I think we've lost the fun in football.
No, but is that not us? Are these kids not having fun?
Why are we losing the fun?
It's a
Is it
different
because
type
of the
of
video
fun,
camera in your
Brian.
face?
It's a different type of fun.
I don't know.
Guys at the Hibs game that Vincent covered there, standing up, 15 of them together, standing up, singing Celtic songs, and immediately surrounded by stewards and told to sit down and shut up. People dragged out of the stadium, 6 of them with Nelson Mandela scarves on. People with merchandise that happened to have the Green Brigade on it, told they can't get through the turnstiles.
Ridiculous.
Now, who's taking the fun out of football?
Richard, I totally agree. And you've just said there they're black and white on both sides. And
correct.
You know what I mean? I think we're caught in a situation. It's true what we're saying there. We're caught in a situation here. Nobody's going to win out of this.
Aye, but you know my biggest gripe about that, the position of the board within it. And
they're
can
just
I show
custodians of the club.
Well, there's a thing, but I'll show you my context of that, how I don't kind of anti-hate them or whatever, because I believe you will never have a perfect marriage between fans and a board, right? There will always be something, because they've got to make hard decisions. You've got to make decisions every single day. Some fans will moan about the pies getting up 10 pence. Some fans will moan about the roof of the stadium getting fixed within October, because, that's my favourite game. You know, there will never ever be a perfect marriage. I'm not saying we're going to achieve that. But when it comes to, let me pick one other big issue that's going on just now. When the living wage comes up at the AGM, right? And I'll show you how I don't go either way with the board. If that board came to me and said, "I'm sorry, pal, but we're making a decision that times have moved. We're extreme businessmen. I know we've came for charity surroundings, blah blah blah. We are now going to take a very harsh business decision that we're not going to do this. We're not going to implement that." I wouldn't like that, but I would accept that. I'll put it that way.
Respect
right?
it, man.
Correct. And do you know why? Because it's completely clear cut. I'll say, well, fair enough. I'll argue against it. I'll campaign against it. I'll petition against it. Blah blah blah. Do not sit there and throw out every 15 seconds the tagline, "Charity is in our DNA." Do not have the barefaced cheek to cover every programme, DVD, video, compliment slip and business card saying "more than a club." You're a bunch of hypocritical liars when you behave like that. It's one or it's the other. If you want to be hard and clear cut and do that, fine, I'll fight you, I'll talk to you, I'll debate with you. But don't have it either way. And the same thing goes when you come to the fans.
Don't say one thing and act in the opposite.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm not going to use the word Green Brigade, I'm going to say Celtic fans here, because I'll prefer that. If a board comes out again and says, "We now want all songs, all banners and all signs stopped that are not purely Celtic and football related," I won't like it. I'm a big freedom of speech man, I'll campaign against it, blah blah blah, but I'll accept it. Do not again turn around to me like a hypocritical shit and play Bobby Sands songs through the Kerrydale suite while you're charging me £9 for a Guinness. Don't pump up, let the people sing their songs and then send your stewards in to shut me up when I stand up. The hypocrisy of the board in big matters is really grating me just now.
It's getting me down.
I think in terms of...
Sorry for rubbing it.
No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And also, I think my last comment on it would just be around where at this point in time is the leadership? Now, we've been in the room with Peter Law, speaks very well, quite impressive. However, for all of these things, I'm thinking, who is the leader? You can't have a standoff with the Green Brigade when you are the board. You have to take the bull by the horns and sort these issues out on our behalf.
Yeah.
You know, they won't be around forever. We will always be around.
Correct.
And I think the bit that's really quite annoying for me is they're almost standing by and letting some of these things happen. In actual fact, they should be out there campaigning on our behalf for some of these issues and actually... exactly.
That kind of stuff.
And they should actually be making representations on our behalf. And okay, they can do all this kind of... It's a bit political. We'll say our things at the right forums and it's in the background. Don't worry, we've got it covered. But in actual fact, they don't have it covered.
So I'll tell you how far out of touch they are with the grassroots Celtic support.
I know you're going to be like,
who at Celtic Park thought during January it was sensible to play in a competition against Ajax?
There you go.
How fucking insensitive is that?
I dropped my
in the
phone.
current environment,
I dropped my phone when I seen that.
Yeah, couldn't
That's
believe it.
disgusting.
Couldn't believe it.
Absolutely disgusting. Peter Lawwell deserves, in my opinion, to be bulleted just for sanctioning that decision being made.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It's disgusting. It's morally reprehensible.
Aye.
So I'm trying my hard not to batter this table because our recording device is on it. When I heard that just makes me not want to go back for the rest of the season.
I thought it was a wind-up. I thought Cartugia had made up a graphic.
Here's a
to
good
say,
idea.
By the way, guess what?
It's sickening, it's disgusting, and whoever thought it was is morally reprehensible based upon what we went through 4 weeks ago in the city that they come from, and over there playing that team. Yeah. And what happened before that when they came to Glasgow?
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to bring this because we're going to end up being here all night. But we will definitely come back to this subject. So thanks everybody for your input there. Cheers.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock. Shambolic.
Okay, thanks Chico. For Shambollic tonight, I threw out to the panel the following. What has been the best moment of your Celtic supporting life? Be it a championship winning game, beating Deadco, a cup final, maybe a new manager or something like that arriving. So, what has been a very special personal moment that will stay with you forever? Who wants to kick off? Kevin, go for it.
Kev, come on, son.
So I'm going to go first with one of them, so I can get my second and third.
No.
And to be fair, it's not my absolute, but it's up there in the top three.
The top three.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Administration Sunday at Easter Road has got to rank in any Celtic fan of any generation's proudest and most enjoyable moments.
The Rebels have won.
It was just absolutely fantastic, and I think my dad and my dad's dad and my granddad and my mum's side of the family, and just think all that stuff, them going into administration and then ultimately dying, they people would just have loved that because they lived through so much pain caused by an institution that was absolutely anti-Catholic and anti-Irish and sectarian and rotten to the core. So that's definitely up there in terms of, I guess, a non-footballing moment on the pitch has got. Well, it probably is actually my best.
Special moment for you. Special moment for you. Yeah. Brian.
The 27th of August. 2000.
We're getting dates. Here it comes.
Who was she?
Demolition.
Who was she?
She was Ian Crocker saying,
I was still a virgin to 2008.
Well, you know. Oh, what do you mean?
Cherry wasn't pop that,
as Richard says, how does Peter know that? How he popped it with Peter?
As well you know, honey.
That was artificial insemination.
He is blushing.
Anyway,
Brian, what was that? What happened that day, Brian?
My 27th birthday.
And what happened?
The 6-2 game against the Deadco. Now, we've had big wins against them. There was a 5-1 Lubo game. There was a 4-1 back in the season when Butcher was about. Matt McGee scored at Celtic Park. But this was different. Not only was it my 27th birthday that day.
Not
only was it my 27th birthday, but that, for me, was the tide turning.
The tables have turned.
Everything had just turned in Glasgow that afternoon.
Actual day.
That afternoon, and it was just magnificent. I can clearly remember being totally exhausted after 12 or 13 minutes when we were 3-0 up, and kind of hoping, but hoping that we didn't score. No, right now, let me get my breath back, let me enjoy the next one, because you were thinking, we can score it. At the time we went up that pitch. That was that the game Fernando Rickson get taken off after like 20 minutes or so? No?
Aye, you taken off the first half.
It was like 25 minutes.
Bobby
Petter had ripped him a new. And
who scored that day? Sutton,
Lambert, Petrov, Larkin 2.
Sutton got a last one.
Number 6.
Just marvellous day. It was just.
And Ian Crocker's famous "and in paradise." This is a thing that Celtic dreams are made of. When Lambert banged a third goal in on 12 minutes and 54 seconds. Lubo was fantastic. That was Larsson's nutmeg and chip over claw.
His commentary for that goal.
Oh, that was a great goal. That was a great goal.
I think
magnificent.
It's my favourite goal. I think my favourite goal against him is that goal. Just marvellous.
So boy.
So I think that's it for me. Yeah.
We might come back to you.
So is that back to me again? Is it one to me, one to them, one to back to me?
No. Peter?
I've got many, but
one I said.
The best.
That one special moment. The
what I will do is I will give you a club moment. Oh, a very good club moment.
Supporters club moment.
Yes.
Aye.
I don't know if that's what I asked.
It was.
Aye, Celtic moment.
It was. We were sitting up in Leeds's. There was about 25 years in Leeds's garage.
As you do it.
When they're playing Boa Vista. In the semi-final. To go to Seville.
It was a nervous night.
And I'll never forget Henry Larsson scoring. The full place absolutely erupted. I can't remember the time he scored that, but I never seen the rest of the game.
Was it 86 minutes?
I never seen the rest of the game.
I never seen the rest of the game because I was already booking the flights to Spain. That's true. Right, Luigi was standing with the credit card. Him and Trez were standing with the credit card. Right, who's all going? And we booked these flights from Birmingham to Malaga that night. After last, that was me. We were on the internet there and then to book these flights.
Fantastic.
Right, you go. And their guys went home that night, had to go home to their wives and say, "By the way, I've booked up."
Some people had communions or confirmations to go to that night.
See the way you said that, guys. I had to go home to say it.
I had to go and tell Brenda.
I had to go home and tell Brenda. Everybody else was alright. They were mad enough to do it. Took me a week.
Right, that was alright. I'll up and tell Jackie.
But I just see that night, just to join everybody's face, just going, right, you going to Seville? Are you going? Right, pencil me in, pencil me. Lee's going to miss credit card. Money's going.
It's only 10 grand wallet.
You know what I mean? Everybody's going, book me in. Then you had to get, everybody's come through one at a time. Right, what's your name? What's your, you know, when you book it. You know,
to say that was one of the happiest moments of our life when that ball hit the.
That's what I'm saying. You should. That's a club moment. You know what I mean?
Right. Richard?
Peter, cancel the flight, they've equalised.
I just
shit.
No, you're still true to equalised. Because it was nothing each at Parkhead, was it? I'm not right in
No,
saying
it was
that.
one each.
Was it one each?
One each.
It was.
That'd be extra.
One each, it would have been extra.
Do you want to say something before
I was just in that. I think quite a few folk went to the Crown that night after the game finished, and it was just party. And the phone in the Crown goes. It was after closing time, and it was a lock-in, and the phone goes. So you know I was quite a regular in the Crown at that time. Some folk thought I worked there. I thought you owned it. I thought I worked there.
Sorry, you could have owned it.
I thought I worked there.
So my dad, I answered the phone. Hello, the Crown Inn. My dad's on the other end of the phone, and he just said, "What the fuck are you doing there?" I work here. What the fuck are you phoning me for?
Because you were
Imagine phoning and then saying, "What the fuck are you doing there?"
To be fair, his 4 sons were in it. Do you know what I mean? So he was at the game. That was him just at the stadium.
Him and Jim Craney.
Craney fell asleep.
Craney fell asleep again.
No way.
I know it's unusual for that to happen, especially at an away European game.
Move on, somebody else. The rest is a work tomorrow.
Right.
There's 2 or 3.
stop looking at
same as
mine.
everybody
There's no
else.
2 or 3.
There's one
I
special.
don't listen to your
See when I say one, I've got 2 then.
Just get 2 down, aye. That's what I was looking at. I was waiting for somebody to pick
Henrik against St Johnson.
Aye.
That's mine.
Like, see, would you
Oh,
call
is it? I didn't know that, but
I might steal Vincent's here, but see, the other one was. See, when we went to Hampden for the season, and when we first come back into Parkhead in our stand.
Stadium, right.
But the first game was against Newcastle.
Yes, aye. The big flags coming down onto the pitch.
Was it Rod Stewart?
Right.
Was it Rod
Was that
Stewart?
Conley or Stewart? I think it was
Rod Stewart or Billy Conley.
Aye.
That was a very emotional day.
Oof, back home, back
That
paradise.
was. See that? If you're saying like special moments,
You can
that
tell,
was.
you're well enough, you can tell.
Tell you, Vincent, there was a tear in the eye.
Because that was a hellish year to go through at Hampden. That was horrible.
Oh, wait a minute. There's some entertainment. See, you're talking about half-time entertainment.
God,
Rod Stewart guy, right?
Lookalikes.
Oh,
That was horrendous.
that was another thing. But there is other times, like obviously you win in the league and like Seville and everything else about that. But that was a really kind of poignant moment.
Just what we're talking. Remember the half-time of the team against Rangers, the guy got banned?
Aye,
It was a Rod Stewart. He went right up to the Rangers and got.
Remember that?
it's like Tiger Tim used to do the announcement in the European game, and he got what is it said in the Huns are out or something?
I said that.
Once a minute silence.
Richard?
That's what it was.
Aye, I want to thank you for asking this question. Honestly, you gave me an oasis of calm today.
But did you actually look at his text like
you read it
before tonight?
I did. Aye,
That's amazing.
I know the
Does
pressure
anyone
is
else
under
take
his
that
host.
with your text?
He's a professional.
I'm a professional.
Isn't it?
And it did. It was surrounded by loads of work and headaches and hassles and stuff, and it was fantastic. So, the question, the best moment,
Therapy session.
the best
Just modern
Celtic
pieces
moment, the
coming in.
defining moment, the poignant moment, etc. It was a moment of awareness that lasted
Self-awareness.
2 or 3 minutes at most, and it came inside a tiny wee place that was a combination of a cafe, bar and shop up a mental wee dark side street in the beautiful city of Seville in 2003. And to set the kind of quick background of why we're in this wee tiny place,
Why are you in that?
I travelled over with my brother David on the flight, and there's whole fantastic memories of that being together, and we've got that link between us now that we can, just like yourselves, you can all look back on. Also with, I always call my cousin Barry, he's married to my cousin Josephine, Barry from Dumbarton.
Good guy, Barry.
And the three of us headed over, the three amigos, and photographs and touring and the laughs and the banter and everything, brilliant. But we had a thing set up where Barry never had a ticket for the game. And we says, well, we'll try the boys for the club when we hook up with them. We'll try guys that were there. We'll try ticket touts. We'll do what we can. If we can't get you sorted, I'll give my ticket away. And me and you will just...
You mental?
Me and you will go and you'll watch it together. That's it. It came to the crunch. We could not get it. We couldn't get a ticket for the boy at all. So we passed it. Thankfully, a guy was going to enjoy it through an association with the club and stuff. So he went away. Me and Barry wandered back into the city. We went up to the stadium just to be part of it, then wandered back into the city centre and looked around big places and watching places, and I was like, nah, that's not right, and just kept walking and walking. Tiny wee alley, and there's the locals sitting, the truest of all people in there watching it, and this dodgy wee portable up on top of the counter inside, as I said, they were selling stuff like a shop, but it had a counter and people with seats like a cafe, but it had Cruz Campo and draft like a bar, so it was a bit of everything. And it was halfway through the first half watching this telly, and I kind of turned away from it. It was just a weird moment it happened, because I turned away from it and I was looking down at myself, and I had Cruz Campo beer spilled over my hoop top. I had a Porto scarf wrapped around my waist, because I had done that whole thing where I took a Celtic scarf over and we'd swapped it and tried to go with the fans. We no go down the road of what we thought of them after it and their antics. Speaking to the locals, I had a big stupid Guinness hat on, my face was painted, my hair was sprayed, everything about it. And there was this moment where I wasn't even watching that game, and it just came to me about how I felt about it and how I felt about Celtic and what it all meant to me. And it didn't matter if I was inside the stadium or if I was inside a wee stupid cafe. It didn't matter if it was a European final or if it was a daft night down in Stranraer with our tops off at a cup final, in midweek. It didn't matter if Henrik Larsson was playing on that pitch or if it was Wayne Biggins. It didn't matter if the manager was the blessed Martin O'Neill or if it was Lou Macari. None of that mattered. It was those moments of just being there with the folk in your lives that understand what it's all about. And I was watching Barry's face for the side, and he's grinning and gritting his teeth, and Celtic are trying to score and blah blah blah. And it's one of those things that you can't quite describe, but all you guys know it. And you have these wee moments when you just look at somebody in the eye, and you know why you're laughing, or you know why you're smiling, and you know why that League Cup means everything to you, and you know why that scoreline is just the best thing or the worst thing in your life.
See what you're saying, you can't describe it.
Can I, before you say anything, can I say, that's what I'm looking for? That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Right? Can we get rid of that?
That's a bit deep for me.
It's almost a spiritual experience.
Correct. It's mystical, it's spiritual, and it's Celtic.
You only get that with Celtic.
Correct.
No other football club. How many football clubs do you get a spiritual experience?
Exactly.
Come on!
And all of the other stuff,
I could carry it.
all the other stuff is just detail, and it's those wee moments that we have with the clubs and Luigi's, and remember the time with such. And what was the score? I don't know. What was the trophy? I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter. It was the moment. It was that moment that you share.
See, I don't get that with these numpties. I pick these things out, Richard. They just don't do that kind of preparation.
What for me?
which goes back to a question that was asked earlier on tonight. What does Celtic Football Club mean?
Yes.
And it's not necessarily about the football on the pitch.
That's right.
That's what we were talking about earlier.
It's experiences with family and with friends, if you've got friends.
friend.
I can't even call family.
You're in your best though.
Or stalker. But it is directed about football. At the end of football is the thing that draws us there.
It's a wee central element thing.
It's a connector.
That wee thing.
I feel as if we're going away from it. As Brian says, I'm no fun,
Well, I disagree slightly. Look at the things that we are doing, and Richard describes some of it. Look at the things that we do as a support. I think what's gone away is, I think the part of the board is forgetting that. More than a club, we're more than a club, and that's us.
Correct.
They don't behave like that.
Correct.
Very often.
Enough.
Enough.
Let's not be totally blank.
But in actual fact, I'm not even wanting to try and follow that, because you just summed up everything, and it's.
I'll tell you yours.
If I could have summed that up, I would have said that it's spiritual. It's about more than.
It's mystical.
It's about more than football, and it's the connection with every person in this table for a start.
Correct.
Billy
McNeil, when
the
centenary year, and he looked up into the stands, and after, when he was interviewed on the pitch, and he was saying there's something very special about this football. Magical, spiritual. It's something that isn't tangible. You can't touch it.
No.
But you can feel it. You feel it in your heart. Every one is.
All those wee moments.
Succinct. Superb, lads. Any others? I mean, the only one I had. I know I asked for one.
That was a bit deep for me.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Can you put that in a kind of shallow level?
Oh, it's your magic.
I've got another one. Just we'll go back to working class.
Right, here's a night shift.
We stopped Rangers winning 10 in a row. Who can remember? Who can remember? No. Who can remember the party in the Crown?
Me. That's mine. Peter.
See if anyone remembers the party in the Crown, they weren't there.
Well, I'll tell you two things about that. And what I'd written down was getting on the park, because for me, that was a really special moment, because it was a new stadium and we got on the park, and I can remember dancing under, somebody had almost a marquee, but it was a big flag
just past the whole,
and we were dancing under that, and I went home. Well, I woke up the next morning with a denim jacket with bits of grass and dirt in every pocket. So we were lifting stuff and putting in our pockets and taking away.
It's a first park hooligan.
Aye, but afterwards, coming back to the Crown, I stood on, you remember the wee stools they had? I stood on one of them for the full night, so that must have been a good 4 hours. I never come off it.
One again when they held you, mate. One for each foot.
These were the early days, Brian. These were the days.
Where did all the support come that night winning the Crown? You remember it? You couldn't get moving.
It was fantastic.
That's what I've seen. See, going back to those terrible preceding years from a footballing sense.
Aye.
Think of the nights we had.
They were the greatest parties ever.
The parties we had and the fun we had.
Because we had
Some of the best nights we ever had were after the
beat. Is that for defeats?
They used to come into our pub because we were celebrating more than they were at their own pub.
Because they'd actually go to that stage, but it was just one of the
It was fight among each other.
Just closed the place down.
We've just won it.
The bill would be closed down so they used to find somewhere else and we were on party.
Remember they used to come up, when they were going 9 in a row, you used to drink the sake, drink the Crown, and they used to come up into the sake. Just a wee sneer at you. And then, and then when Celtic, as you said, when the table started turning with the Martin and Neil,
can you see them for dust?
Never seen them for dust.
See, you're talking about the St Johnstone game. You were saying about the flag and that. We end up in the park, me and Mr David Mooney, with the club flag at the time, right? Which was the old tricolour, which was a fair size, right?
God, aye.
We're running up the byline, can idea. We took 2 folk clean out. Clean rose them. Took them clean.
When they say it's running, it was more a fast walk.
I'm sure this was it.
I dropped it. I dropped the shoulder.
The grass and you get cleaned.
We were in Glasgow. After the game. Steve McLaughlin, we got picked up. Luna picked us up and we went to McNulty's. And Steve McLaughlin always kissed us up, and I walked in and my dad's there and he's like, "Oh, I'll put some music on." I was like, "Aye, alright." And he opens he's this old leather jacket and he opened it like that and he had all these CDs. He's like, "What do you want me to play?" It was like Del Boy Trot. The jacket went, "You want some tunes?"
That was the original Rebel Pod.
It was like a Rebel jukebox. Right, what you want?
Was that the Rebel Parker?
We've got the Wolf Tones 25th anniversary, A, B, you want? No, it was so funny.
See how you're talking about that presentation that day, the trophy. It was in the middle of the park, and the trophy sat in this kind of stand. It was maybe 2 foot high or something like that. See, me and Davey were going down the park. There were 2 boys running out with that. The actual stand with the trophy was sitting on. They were running out with that.
We went for the centre spot and it was gone. By the time we got there.
Thank God it wasn't the same stewards then as we have now. You catch a ball and stand up, you stand up cheer and you get ejected.
Such an outpouring, as you say, for those 9 long years, 10 years.
Just relief.
Such an outpouring, it was fantastic. In my lifetime, probably that was one of the most
I think
special.
For all our differences and things, the way we disagree about boards, tactics, disagree maybe about the Green Brigade, or disagree about different views or players, we're all Celtic fans. And I think what Richard described, every one of us has felt that, had that experience whether it be with family or friends.
Aye.
Just marvellous.
And on that note, that was a very nice, poignant moment to finish off. Okay, thanks very much, guys. So we're just going to wrap up there. I'm Vincent, up Vincenzo Sir on Twitter, and tonight our panel have been
Brian Rightside Airlines,
Peter,
BJ Max 67 on Twitter,
Richard,
Kevin.
Okay, thanks, guys. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
The thing I want to see the most is the Glasgow Celtics score. I've been to Munich, been to Paris and Berlin. I watched injustice fall upon you in Turin, and I've shared the pain and glory with the friends that I have made as I dance from place to place in green and white on a worldwide tin parade.